start, 2x2 formation. Road change now, we go racing for the first time this season. 3 hours of GT action is go.
It's very tight as they come down. Group of cars coming in. This has all got trouble written all over it. This is G3 cars.
Drop downhill there, head towards the Aqua Minerale. Imola, of course. There's another one off through the gravel. As wide as possible as they drop downhill, putting that truck inside line. Yes, he did. Through he goes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the Apex Online Racing's 8 hours of Laguna Seca. We will be getting underway very, very shortly, and I am joined in the commentary box by Luke today.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, everyone. Good evening, well, good afternoon. Tim, it will be the evening by the time we get this race finished, of course. 8-hour endurance race should be the fantastic, and of course, it is the final one in the championship. Really looking forward to seeing how things are going to go.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I do apologise. A little bit coffee and coldy. I will try and keep as much of it off the mic as possible. I apologise in advance. Yeah, going to be interesting to see how everyone gets on here. Obviously, we've seen some real dominating forces out there on the track over the space of the season. But I would say two of the sort of the big guns in the championship are currently 6th and 7th on the grid. Their cars not favourable here at Laguna Seca, so going to be an interesting one. I mean, it clearly is Honda and Porsche strong here, with the top 5 made up of just Porsches and Hondas. So it should be interesting to see these two brands battle it out, but no doubt that the 6th and 7th place will end up fighting their way back towards the front, as we've seen every single time pretty much. They've been forces to reckon with. So shall we have a little run through the grid just while we're waiting for the session to start? So on pole, as we saw earlier on in the Super Pole, car number 8, Parak of Flying Estonians, starts in pole. Second place, car number 199, the Honda from Honda Team Motul. Car number 9, another Honda, which is Baboon Motorsports. They're starting in 3rd. And 5th place is Cup Team Future Sports. Lots of ups and downs on the capitalisation there, making it nice to read. Car number 303. Smeets, car number 95, starting in 5th position. And that is just Porsche. It just says Team Porsche. Then some of the big guns. This is KW Clown Fiesta Esports, being driven by Samir Foch, currently in 6th place on the grid. Car 720, which is the Beaver Grease Racing Lithuanian car, piloted by Grantas Caracas, currently in 7th. 8th place, Andy van der Velde, car number 58, and that is Vanwall Simsport, followed up by Connor Wright in the other Vanwall Simsport car in 9th place. 10th place, so rounding out the guys that were in the Super Pole earlier, is Skidanov Racing, and that is with Sergei Skidanov in the car number 920. Did you want to have a bit of a go through some of the guys on the grid?
Yeah, we'll go through some of the next cars so you can see 11th place. BMW as we used to see further up the front, but the last of the 4 in a row there. We've got Wojciech Raticek for the Silver Racing Team Eurowash squad. Adam Dubiel is number 500 for the Forza Italia. Still probably my favourite liveried car in that Ferrari. Benche Fazekas in, well, he's in a BMW. It's not actually showing up at the moment what team he's in the
I'm not seeing a team
304.
either. Strangely.
Yeah, it's good that it's not just me. That always does make me feel a bit better.
It's
Barley,
ACC. It just does this.
Yeah. These things happen. These things happen. John Barley in the 22 in the BMW for Revolution Sim, and then rounding out the top 15, Lucian Projnika in the other Forza Italia PLE Racing squad, as the formation lap is just about to get underway.
Fantastic. So carrying on a little bit further down, 16th place is Carnum 5 Horens. I probably mispronounced that. I do apologise. It's actually my first race I've been able to cover really this season. So then 17th place is Carnum 781 of Crozen. And then actually the first of our silver class drivers, or AM class, is... Ooh, how are we pronouncing this one? Because I don't want to mess this one up straight away.
We're going to go with Gediminias Krikstals Alaitis. And that'll probably change throughout the 4 hours that I do it. Very nice to see the Lexus on the grid again. The lead class in the lead car in the silver class. Normally the lead silver class car is a bit higher up than 18th place, to be perfectly honest. So we'll have to see how things go for them in the race. Quite often, we've seen silver class cars getting in and around the top 10, even in the early stages.
Yeah, so I was surprised to see such a big split before any of the silver class cars came in, but you know, that's how it goes. It might just be sort of, none of them are Porsches or Hondas in the silver class that I can see, so I think they were the 2 really strong cars here. So 18th place was the front left tyre Scrubbers Esports, that's car number 781. 19th place was Redline Zach Racing, car number 180. 20th place is Yang Yang in the Roa Racing, that's the BMW 871. Robin Moe in the N7 Racing Bentley, 21st position. 22nd place is Richard Benz in the Goat Racing. I'm going to run out of time to go through the rest of the grid, aren't I? We're pretty much almost round here. I do apologise, it's just the way it is at this circuit, I'm afraid. There is really not a lot of time to get it done. Yep, already stacking up side by side.
Should hopefully be a really good race. Obviously, quite a different track to what we saw last time out at Spa, and a different race distance. And let's not forget, in the championship, it's looking very good for KEW at the moment. So, I think even 6th place would be good for them. Don't be surprised if they move their way up throughout the race, though.
Yeah, I imagine just their sheer race pace, that's going to be a real show here at Seca. I would say that you can put in some really fast times in qualifying because you might get one good lap in 10, but you just got to be super consistent to actually take away a win here today. So final run to the line now. The car's fully stacked up and getting ready to go. Can the Porsche get a good start? But both Hondas sniffing at the back of him already. Someone there starting from the pits. So final run to the line. Here we go. Lights are green. Off they go down towards turn 1. Looks like the Porsche managed to keep his nose in front. Ooh, little rub there between the 2 Hondas. And kind of 199 managed to keep it together and hanging on to the outside. Don't think we've seen anything too major. Oh, there's a collision. There's a collision. Turn 2. Quite a few cars went off then. That was a couple of the... I think one of the Vanwall SimSport cars went off. And I think... Let's go back. Oh, a bit too far, I do apologise. But we'll have a look back over that restart now and see what we get. See if we can go helicam and get a better shot from slightly higher up. I think it was just on the exit of the corner. One of the Hondas, that number 9 car, just catching the back. Yep, and there was just nowhere to go. Oh, yeah, and a lot of the top drivers caught up in that incident. So it's going to be a bit of a recovery race for some of those guys, I think.
Yeah, I think already they're gonna find it quite tough. I think Samir Fock as well, he was involved in that one. It was Simansky spun around in the 199. Istvan Puki in the Porsche, one of those up towards the front. He had to sort of take evasive action, but in all of that, has still come out in a not too bad position at the moment. Obviously, it's now Pamek with a, I mean, in endurance racing, we're quite happy with this start to the race. He's already got nearly a 3-second lead at the front of the field.
Oh, big hard hit though is the Fiesta eSports car down in 36th place at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone pits straight away due to damage. I can't see anyone going for any pits, but so everyone stays out. Oh no, here we go, someone into the pits. Who was that? That is, we'll wait and see who that was, but yeah, that's a huge loss. Obviously 6th place qualifying and then ended up all the way down in 34th position. Already looks to be making a few positions back, but still. But car number 8 for the Flying Estonians will be very, very happy. Already thundering away from everyone else. Already picked up a 3-second gap. I know it's a very, very long race, but goodness gracious, if they can maintain that kind of pace throughout the entire thing, we are going to be in for an absolute treat. So we'll go a little bit further back through the grid, see what we've got. Car number 303 is inherited 2nd place. That number 9 Honda that was involved in that sort of turn 2/3 incident is currently running in 3rd. Car number 101 in 4th. Gratis Caracas in that car, number 720, has gained a position through all that incident. I'm not sure if he picked up any damage himself. I think he managed to get on the brakes and actually managed to avoid it, which was really lucky. See Matt York, car number 58, he managed to survive, but the other BMW did get caught up in the incident, so that's car number 57. Where is that on the grid now?
One of the ones that pitted, I think, was him.
He is one of the ones that pitted, is he? Yes, he is. He's still in the pit now, and that's a real shame for the sort of the 2 Vanwall Motors SimSport cars. They'll be really disappointed with that. We'll see battles that are going on.
Always the thing that happens. You've got that many cars heading to what is a tight turn number 1. Laguna Seca is a very tight circuit indeed, and just such a shame for obviously 57, which I think is just making its way back onto the circuit now. Still plenty of time to recover, and there always seems to be some drama for a Vanwall SimSports car. I think at Spa it was Matt York was driving the number 58, had some connection issues, got a long way around the field and really had struggles all the way through the race, but it was only the 57 and the 199 that actually came into the pits on that lap, and Szymanski has just about managed to stay on the lead lap, so still plenty of work for them to do, but you know, bad news for obviously 57. They're still really involved in this championship challenge. We'll run through the standings quickly. This V869 Samir Fox car at the moment, KW Plough Fiesta Esports, they have got 135 points at the moment. The Beaver Grease Racing Lithuania 720 car, which is currently up towards the top 10. They're second in the championship on 98. Then it's for 57 Vanwall on 97, the 58 Vanwall on 94. So still, you know, there's still chances that we could have these big changes. We've seen already at the start just how easy it is for what looked like a tiny little contact between the 2 Hondas, how it caused absolutely carnage for those further down the field. And obviously, some pretty big names, the 869, the 199 and the 57, losing out in all of that.
Yeah, always a shame when you see, especially some of the big names, lots of people come to see them race. But do you know what? A recovery drive is a good watch. It's always a good watch to see, to check back in and being like, how on earth are they suddenly there? I mean, a moment ago, we obviously said they were down in 32nd place, already up to 31st. So, especially that car number 869 that we saw, that really did get quite the raw deal. I think it ended up face first in the barrier. Its recovery drive could possibly be quite a watch. We'll be cutting back and forth to that one for sure. Already making a light work at the back of the grid. And it's not as if it's you know, it's not an overly spread grid either. Like all of these guys are ridiculously quick. You know, all of them are pretty much aliens here. So they're all tier 1. They are the top dogs at Apex Racing. There's obviously a little bit of a mixture of some of the teams. Have obviously got the silver class and there's mixed class drivers, but I mean, these are the boys, aren't they? These are the fastest of the lads, and it's an absolute pleasure to watch them, be it as Parak is doing, thundering away from everyone now with nearly 4 seconds lead, or watching someone make their way from the back again. Obviously not great for them, but great for us to watch.
Yeah, there's certainly no slouches in the field. I think we can safely say that. There's a pretty decent battle going on at the moment between the 304, the 501 and the 500. You've got the 22.781 and the number 5 as well, not too far behind. Just this little bit of a train that's developing at the moment. Maybe that's being a bit too harsh to Ben Schaefer Zakas. in the 304 BMW at the moment. But yeah, there's a bit of a gap built in between himself and the 58 Van Wall car, and the Ferrari's definitely looking racy. 501 and 500 are in the same Forza Italia.pl squad, of course, so don't be surprised maybe if we see some swapping around, maybe a tiny bit of teamwork between them as well. As I say that, the 501 goes very wide there on the run up towards the corkscrew, so unsurprisingly has lost one place in that, and I'm very impressed, lost quite a few places, down from 8th to 11th place. It just shows you this track does bite. There's definitely nowhere where you can afford to just have a bit of a relax. There's not too much runoff area, and in quite a few areas, as we saw on lap 1, there's not too much before you head into the barriers.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those circuits where if you make a mistake, even a small, just dipping your tyre into the gravel, that it's just, there's no runoffs before gravel, it's just curb. You might get lucky with a little bit of green AstroTurf, but a lot of the time you just stick a tyre straight into the gravel, and that's it. You lose all your speed. It's an absolute, killer if you're here. Like it's very easy to be consistent, but it's very hard to be consistently quick around Laguna Seca because you're just on the edge all the time. There's lots of strange undulations and lots of corners that there's quite a few sort of optical illusions. You think to yourself, oh, I can get back on the throttle, and then just the way the corner, the radius changes halfway through, and suddenly you find yourself going deep on an exit. And so it's going to be a real sort of race of attrition, I think, here, especially with the corkscrew. I think a lot of the front edge of rear-wheel drive cars are going to struggle the most coming down through there, just with the fact that as they go through the crest, they're trying to get back on the power, but you're losing all that traction as the car goes light. Definitely saw it in Superpole, a few of the BMWs just over-rotating slightly as they take the left-hander in here. Still on board with the 501. You see, as they come in here, it goes very light as the transition of angle changes. Very easy to rotate the car, but looks like the 501 is, since that little off, is just struggling to maintain the pace he had before. Maybe nerves get to him ever so slightly.
It's possible. Like we've been saying just over the last few minutes, Tim, we need to have that rhythm, and just losing it a bit, getting off track, getting a feel for what the car's like through the first corners, especially with the first few laps have been taking a bit easier. It's so simple to make that one tiny mistake, which, in the early stages will probably cost you more. Yes, you've got more time to recover, but because the field's more bunched up, you make that mistake even half an hour into the race. It was probably bad, one, maybe 2 car whips off of the circuits. You do that later on in the race, you're losing time, you're losing no places whatsoever. Gone from being in 8th, has it been 2 and 11th as LukecEtheridge, and has now got quite a bit of work to do to really get himself back involved with that train. In silver class, we all said they end up finding their way further up the order, and Pt1 Assetto has done that for the BB car now, up into 14th place, having started in about 16th or 17th, so obviously taking advantage of some of the issues earlier on in the sole Lexus in the field. You can see we've got the 871 and the 444 not too far behind either in the BMWs, also battling for silver class, so that's always going to be one to watch. Just because they're in a lower class does not mean they're any lesser of a skilled driver. Pace might be off just by a tiny bit, but they are extremely fast as well.
100%. Do you know what? I actually, at first glance, I thought car number 10 of Cristalatus, I thought that was a BMW for a moment, but it's not, is it? It's definitely a Lexus. So I was looking and thinking, hang on, are my numbers different to yours? No, I'm just being blind. But yeah, this little battle was quite nice, actually. For a moment, I thought car number 180 was going to catch up with the back of him, actually. That red line Zach Racing, he was overlapping ever so slightly just after the corkscrew. And that Roa racing car of Zhang Yang as well looked like he was maybe on the attack, but they just opened up a little bit here through sector 1 and sort of that sector 3 of the last lap. They just to give themselves a little bit of breathing room. It's always one of those things of it's very, very easy to get into that mindset, especially when you do more sprint racing, normally an hour's length. You think, I've got an hour, I've got to make every opportunity count. But with 8 hours of racing, you've got time to have a little breather, have a little think, plan your attack a little bit. And obviously these drivers, they're doing the driver swaps, so some drivers are going to be slower than others. So some may drive a more defensive drive, trying to just defend positions. Others may go hard on the attack. Ooh, again, we see kind of 180 right up the back of that Lexus. And he doesn't want to let him...
Yeah, well, he just can't quite get that move done at the moment. He's definitely looks quicker on the way into the corkscrew, but the Lexus can just keep pulling away on the exits, and it's like we've spoken about. It is an endurance race. They're going to get, well, we're talking 480 minutes of action around here. We're going to be, probably up and around 400 laps mark, 350 to 400 laps. You've got to be patient. You've got to make sure that you don't go for any silly moves. And you spoke about different drivers having the pace. Everyone's got their own little idiosyncrasies, what they like with the setup, and you've kind of just got to make a compromise that keeps your fast guys fast, but also that your slightly slower guys wouldn't struggle with.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the guys, the really, really fast setups, the cars have pretty much got to be on a knife edge. And if you're not able to control a car consistently when it's in that knife edge setup, then you have to obviously go for a slightly softer, easier setup. But that obviously is going to slow down your, let's say, your fastest driver. But it also, it's better to be slightly slower and just on the track. Oh, actually, Roa racing that car number 871, going up the inside, giving 180 a bit of a shove. I don't think it was anything too malicious there. It was just a case of too wide through that corner. But he's actually lost 2 places after that, after going off the racing line. So yeah, that would be car number 180. That Redline Zach racing car lost 2 places there, as Yang Gang ended up pushing on past. So he might be a little bit disappointed about that. It probably wasn't the way he wanted it to go, but that does mean that the top 3 drivers in Silver Class are now all in each other. Well, they're right next to each other. It's 14th, 15th, 16th place. All those guys are now absolutely on it. Oh, yeah, actually... That's right, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, actually, for a second there, I thought we were going to see the 4. Oh, there's been contact. 444 has just tapped the back of the 871, and that has caused all sorts of carnage behind the Lexus. Top 3 might have been line astern in Silver Class, but I don't think they are going to be anymore. We've got someone else trying to get involved in this, the 117. The car currently being driven by Robin Moe at the moment. He's got himself all involved in the N7 racing car. But yeah, it was just a tiny little tap from... I think it was the pink BMW there on the back of the road racing car, just the smallest of contact.
Oh, and there's another contact there. One of the Audis tried to go up the inside, just slightly outbroke himself and made contact as well. So that BMW, that was the Zach racing one, wasn't it? Kind of 180, has absolutely fallen victim to contact over and over again. He'll be very, very disappointed in that. So now, well, car number 10, Crystalatis, has pulled away again. And he's actually got a decent little gap for himself now. Oh, and the N7 Bentley goes off. Not sure what happened there, whether he outbraked himself or maybe gave up the position. I didn't see him really involved in anything unusual. So now 16th and 17th are still battling out for position, which is second in class. But yeah, bit of a shame. Down to 20th place now. That car number 180. So is he carrying some damage possibly? Not sure, but he's he's dropped right back. A quick update for everyone. Car number 869, which is the Clown Spurts Clown E-Spurts, they are already back up to 25th position. So that's just ridiculous, isn't it? How quickly they are trying to make their way back through the grid. Trying to have a little look and see where car number 58 is hanging out. Another one of the people involved. Oh no, it was car number 57. Still running at the back of the grid at the moment. It's car number 57. So, like you said, managed to stay on the lead lap, but only just. So, making his way back up through, I believe, soon enough though. Oh, actually, did he come on the lead lap? Because he's showing up at the back of the grid, but he's amongst cars that are certainly not the ones that are in front of him. He's got a Bentley just in front of him, and it should technically be the 199 Honda that has set the fastest lap.
I think it was the 199 just managed to stay on the lead lap. You can see on the map there, it's just got that tiny little straight in between turns 3 and 4 to just stay ahead of the lead car. But no, I think Connor Wright did drop off the lead lap, and as soon as you do that in an early part of a race, you just got to sort of like slot in with the field and see what you can do. But the 57, very fast team, Van Wall Esports, have done very well in the free races earlier on this season. Of course, Silverstone, Monza and Spa. You know, it's way too early to write them out for points. BMWs have been in the walls a bit. We saw the 180 getting bullied, but there's definitely time to recover, as Samir Fox showing in the 869. You can work your way back up. I am still astounded that the 869 did not have to come into the pits, if I'm being honest.
I think he may have got the slightest nudge from behind, and then...
Sorry to interrupt, though. I think the number 1 McLaren has been spun out. Jay Fong dropping down the field in the J team car just at the exit of turn number 3. Yeah, was facing the wrong direction. Didn't see what caused that contact.
I might be able to go back and spot it. Let's have a look. Going back now. So that's turn 1, turn 2. He goes a bit wide. Porsche up the inside of him. Going down towards turn 3. He's still there. There's a little bit of a bump. Oh, and it was. The Porsche just came across and gave him a bit of a nudge. It was the smallest touch again. But he has rotated and just had to wait for the traffic to clear before he could reverse. And he's just had to sit and wait for a gap. So, yeah. Bit of a shame on that one. I think we just cut to him as he was recovering. But yeah, all the way down into 35th place now. But again, another one of those drivers that we've seen make a decent recovery over time. So we'll have to see how he gets on.
Yeah, there's you know, we've said it all the way along. There's time. We're what, 3% of the way through this race at the moment. There is plenty of time for you to recover. A bit of a shame that happened. I wonder if we'll see anything go to the stewards. I think they'll be pretty busy in race control. We'll be trying to keep you up to date as things are going on. Someone who might get busy out on track soon. 101 versus the 720. They are running fairly close together at the moment. We've got Porsche, Honda Porsche at the front of this race, but it is the 101 who we've seen up there quite often this season. The Silver Racing car with Mikuláš Nowicki behind the wheel and Grantas Kovekas in that 720. They're all thereabouts, and they know they've got a good chance. All of a sudden, still, obviously, got to rely maybe on the 869 having some more issues, but once you get caught in the midfield, it can be a bit of a minefield. But the 720's definitely got a chance still of claiming this championship, and he'll be hoping that he can work his way up ahead the 101 anytime soon, especially because Matt York in the 58 Van Wall car is starting to close in as well.
Yeah, and I think that Matt York, he's in the car with, I think, Marlon Andrade, I believe, is his co-driver. And I think that Marlon is the slightly faster of the two drivers. Only marginally, but I think there is a slight difference between them. So if Matt York is managing to hang on to the back of these two for the moment, as long as he can sort of maintain this, even if he doesn't make a place, at least he knows he is, his next driver coming in may be fractionally faster than him, and that is a huge bonus for your team. A bit like we were saying earlier on about choosing whether or not you're going for a really aggressive stint and really pushing forward, or whether you're just maintaining what you've got. I mean, at the moment it looks like Matt York's having quite a nice little race at this moment. Obviously starting next to his car number 57 compatriot, but we'll see how he does. This car number 101 and 720, these two, so it's the battle for 4th place. They sort of concertina in and out, don't they? They get a bit close and then they open up again, obviously showing where the different cars have their different strengths.
Yeah, I think that's it at the moment. I'm coming up to some traffic just ahead of them, so hopefully we'll see that McLaren get well out of the way. And that's another thing. This is the shortest track we have raced on in this endurance series. Silverstone and Monza, Spa especially, quite long circuits. Laguna Seca definitely not. Seeing lap times, in qualifying, the Flying Estonians car managed an average across their drivers of less than 1 minute 21 in qualifying. It is an extremely tight track, which means traffic management is going to be so much more important than what we've seen in the other races so far. And I think Kovekas wants to try and get past Nowicki, because the front three have just been getting away by just that little tenth or two every single lap. I mean, it is Pookie in 3rd place at the moment. It's just driving sort of all around on his own in the 303 car, but they're just starting to build that gap, and Kovekas knows if they want to get this championship, they're going to need to win this race and then hope that the 869 doesn't get too far up the field. And that is looking like it's going to be tough at the moment, because those Porsches are flying around.
Yeah, they really are putting in some amazing times, those Porsches. Again, it's historically quite a strong car here on the circuit, isn't it? We've seen it before. Same with the Honda, and especially since the Honda now has had its upgrade. It's now the Evo 2, even though it's not officially named that in the actual game sort of menus. It has been upgraded on the most recent update. Was that 0.8 or 1.8, the update recently? It sort of tweaked everything a little bit, tweaked the new BMW slightly, and I think it changed the McLaren and did a load of settings to do with tow that all the really good guys know about, but for me at least, it never affected me, as I'm awful at doing setups. But
yeah, I think we'd need Like, never mind Platinum Silver. We need something below bronze, I think.
I'd need wooden. I'd need like wooden class, like the wooden spoon you get for coming last. I'd need that. Like these guys are insanely quick compared to anything I can do. So there's hit me here, sort of like saying, "Oh, looks like he's gone a bit offline," and I'm thinking, "Well, it's a better line than I could take, even on a good day." Bit of a bad start to the lap by Caracas though. Lost a bit of a gap. The gap up to 0.7 between these two. So, but they are holding each other up, aren't they? Matt York is gaining on the back of these two for definite.
Yeah, this is obviously what happens once you start battling with each other. Start taking a bit more of a defensive line. If you're the car in front, the 101. If you're the car behind, you start just weaving in and out, trying to get in the mirrors, trying to get into the head of the driver of the car in front. But yeah, they're definitely costing themselves a bit of time. I mean, last lap, the top 3 cars were all in a 1:22. Everyone else was in at least a 1:23. That includes these behind. So that gap, they're definitely not being able to close up to those. And not too far behind them as well. You've got Adam Jubio just sort of on his own in 5:01. But again, Benche Fazekas seems to have spent this entire race with someone behind him. And it's the 22 and the number 5, the 3 BMWs running line astern for the final top 10 places. And things have also closed up in silver class as well. The 871 getting onto the back of the number 10 Lexus of Trickster Latest, which has been leading the entire way in that class so far after 23 minutes. They are really looking close on the run down towards the Andretti hairpin turn number 2 then, but just can't quite get close enough. Where it is one of those circuits where sometimes you do have to rely, unless you are going to go for a bit of a send, you might have to rely on a tiny little mistake from the car in front, and I think that's what we're seeing from Caracas. He's trying to force that mistake from Nowitzki.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of just put as much pressure on as you possibly can without, sort of, as you said, ruining your own race. And obviously you don't want to actually make contact, but if you can get up behind someone, sort of get under the rear spoiler of someone, and you can really put the pressure on. If your mirrors are full of a car, it's very easy to make a mistake because you're busy looking at, are they going to go to the outside? Are they going to go to the where are they going to go positions-wise? And you end up missing your braking spot or just not being in the right position on the track as you turn into a corner, and it can just be a real minefield to try and get through. I would definitely think that Matt York's definitely closing in on the back of these two though, and Caracas isn't catching that 101 again very quickly. So whether or not he's just maybe backed off a little bit, having a little breather, reminded himself that he's still got over 7.5 hours to, make the moves. Maybe he's just having a little breather, maybe working the tyres a little bit too hard. The last thing you want to do is have to throw off your pit strategy just because you've gone absolutely flat out in the first stint and wrecked your tyres after half an hour, which is easy to do, especially in a circuit like this where it's very, very grip dependent.
I think that's the main thing. I think that's what he's more worried about at the moment. It's never mind giving yourself a bit of a breather. It's giving the tyres a breather. Track temperature has cooled down slightly at this race, starting 3 p.m. local time on the game. It was 38 degrees track temperature. That is toasting. The tyres are going to be getting an absolute killing, especially with, towards the end of the lap as well, when you come through the corkscrew, the final corner, and starting the lap. Your rear tyres will definitely be feeling it coming out of there, coming through the traction area. So that might be something to watch out for. It's how the balance of the car is obviously going to change as the race goes on. Might always so have something to watch out for at the front of the field. I remember right at the start of this race, Jos Pavek had an absolutely stonking start. He got about 3 seconds ahead after the first lap. Alvarado in the Pavoon Motorsports car has nearly got within 1 second, as we have got a yellow flag. I think didn't quite see who it was. Oh, it's for 666, who's just had a bit of an issue coming out of turn number 3. Yeah, Alvarado in the number 9 really starting to put our race leaders under a tiny bit of pressure.
Really is, isn't he? He's really starting to make some moves there. I will apologise. The camera angles are slightly limited today. For some reason, some of the software is being a bit slow. So Helicam seems to be the one that's safe, and I can do the onboards, but I'm struggling to get the cinematic cameras to work as normal. So I do apologise if at any point you're thinking, why is he staying on Helicam so much? It's just simply because it means we could definitely see what's going on without having to restart everything again. So hopefully it will settle down and we can get the different angles up at some point. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. It's just deciding it doesn't want to let me look at certain things.
Computer says now.
There we go. Managed to get it to work. Thank you very much. Thank you, computer. Did I do anything differently? No, I just clicked a bit harder. So there we go. So, but yeah, that gap at the front down to less than a second now. That little Honda really going, and I think actually Perec may have missed a gear coming off the corner there. It sounded like he almost sort of pinged the limiter a little bit, so whether he's just a little bit suddenly worried how that gap's coming down so quickly and he's just maybe overthinking things. Position 8th place I think is under attack as well here, isn't it? It is Dyer versus Vazquez.
Dyer might have an opportunity here down the inside into the final corner. I feel final lap of the race, you'd have sent it there, but he's done enough to just fall for Vazquez offline.
Yeah, that was.
This might.
Yeah, that was a really. Yeah, that was a really good little move. Actually, he stuck his nose just up the inside, not enough to make contact, but just enough that the car, you know, the 304 car, thought better of trying to go there and was like, oh, I can't cut in. And it just enough to put him offline. He couldn't cut back in and straight line it for the straight. And it just made a big difference. Oh, it has unsettled him because he's just clipped the curb there as well at turn 4. And he's left the door open, a little bit of a power slide. He's in the gravel. He's losing positions quickly. Oh no! And he caught the back of the Bentley. That's the Bentley rotated. That was a big, big hit, that one. Go back and we'll see if we can see it again. Yeah, you see here, comes back across towards the inside of the line, and I hate to say it, that's definitely car number 3 or 4 at fault on that one. Whether or not he just didn't sight the Bentley, I don't know, but that is a real shame. That was car number 781, was it? Yes, it was. He's dropped back quite a long way. He's now back in 17th place. And I'm going to presume he's probably got a reasonable amount of damage on that car as well, just simply due to the fact that it went into the barriers pretty hard after that rotation. So a bit of a shame on that one.
Yeah,
so
just unsurprisingly, I think coming into the pits, I think we're all expecting that after what was quite a large hit. Such a shame for the 781 car who've been doing okay in this race. For Vazquez, you've been struggling, and that happens. You get put offline once. When you're in a field that close, you're offline for the next few corners. Just ran off the gravel, coming back onto the track. Tiniest again, similar to what we saw on lap 1 between the two Hondas, the tiniest of contacts, ends in really bad consequences, obviously for the Bentley.
Yeah, it does seem it's one of those circuits here, and it's bone dry out there. The track is optimum, but I always feel that they do almost somehow put the sandy surroundings into the grip level here at Laguna Seca. It always feels like there's not as much grip as you'd expect. It's very easy to get confident, and then suddenly you're just like, if you get a slight touch, or you go, like you said, you go offline and try to make a correction, really easy to lose grip. And so the smallest bump with someone can have catastrophic, sort of results, simply because you just send them flying, and there's no runoff. As soon as that's it, as soon as you've been bumped and you're facing the wrong direction, very, very difficult to recover and get the car facing the right direction again. Found out why the car number 95, that Porsche, why it started from the pits. It's that Smeets, currently running in 21st place. Apparently had no force feedback and had to start from the pits. So
Sorry to interrupt. Number 10 car just trying to lap the number 16 McLaren. It's gone straight into the back of him, and that has dropped Crick Stellatis down from what was leading in silver class. He's now down to 3rd in that class. So yeah, quite a bit of a hefty hit there as well.
So that was car number 10. Let's quickly see if we can get that on the replay. I'm being very blind, trying to find car number 10. Car number 10, car number 10, car number 10. Come on, brain.
15th place.
15th place. Yes, it is. I'm just being very blind. Right, let's go back, see if we can catch that incident. So we've just come back and we're on the pit straight.
Just caught the tail end. You just saw the McLaren in the background. It was whether it was the McLaren thinking, how many different cars were trying to come through and just slightly misjudging it, because there was another thing. We said it's hard, obviously, for the leaders to get through the back markers. It's hard for the back markers to sometimes get out of the way of everyone without, like we said, just going completely offline and maybe just losing the car slightly.
Yeah, it is super easy to make a mistake. So yeah, we didn't quite catch that incident on the replay, sadly. So yeah, 15th place now for car number 10. So they'll be the extra greasy boys. They'll be disappointed with that, but they've got time. They've got time. Still just under 7.5 hours to regain positions, which is loads of time. Speaking of people that may be out of time, though. Car number 8, Parak, being chased down now by Alvarado in car number 9, that Honda. And it is right there with him, just over half a second between them. So whether or not Parak maybe pushed a little bit too hard at the beginning of the race, he's probably about halfway through his stint. Like we said, really hot really hot temperatures here are going to be affecting the tyres. So it's going to be I don't think it's going to be many more laps before he's under attack. Yet the gap is now down to less than 0.4 of a second. That is unbelievably close.
Yeah, it's just been a tenth of a second here, a tenth of a second there. That's all. That's all you've got to do in these endurance races. You're not going to blitz the field and half a second every single lap. So it's quite nice if you do have that in your back pocket. But all Alvarado's done is just caught up a tiny little bit every single lap, and you can see the difference it's making. The Baboon Motorsports car all over the back of the Flying Estonians. Just to go through how different the order has been shaken up for this race. Baboon Motorsports 10th place is their highest finish so far this season. 20th in Silverstone, failed to finish at Monza, 10th last time out at Spa. Flying Estonians finished 18th in round number 1 of the season. That was their only points all season long. They did not finish in any of the other races. It just shows how different this circuit seems to have been, and how the Porsches and the Hondas just seem to be really loving things out there at the moment, and the Ferraris and the BMWs, which we're seeing, they're still not doing a bad job, just don't quite seem to have that inherent pace advantage that they have done throughout most of the races.
No, I know that is something that Apex Online Racing try to make sure they sort of keep an eye on, is making sure they keep things sort of equally based, so that it's not just dominant for one car all season long. But it's really good, and like I said, it's really interesting to see teams that haven't been that far up the grid and into the points and now dominating the beginning of this race. I mean, these two obviously half a second apart, but they are 8 seconds, nearly 9 seconds ahead of 3rd place. And then there's another gap of about 8 seconds between 3rd and 4th. So those guys really, really pulling away.
Just enjoying themselves, aren't they, at the moment? It's just having fun. I mean, you can see there's quite a big gap as well between 7th and 8th place. Obviously, that contact with Fazekas as well has given UBL quite a bit of a gap. But yeah, Dyer a long way back, and this is just spreading that field out as you'd expect to be happening now. I think everyone's starting to get into their rhythm. Everyone's starting to spread out. Where things aren't spreading out, though, is for the lead of the silver class. It's been a battle all the way on between the 871, the 444, and the number 10 in some fashion. Not too far off the back of the 920 car of Skidanoff as well in the Arlington area, Skidanoff Racing. But yeah, currently Yang Gang in row racing has been up there, bit of contact earlier, but doesn't seem to have put him off, and still leading in the silver class in 13th place.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from race control yet either. I know there was, I thought I read earlier on there was some possible penalties to be carried over, but they may have been tier 2 as opposed to tier 1. I may have just misread that. Having a little look at the race control, and no, I can't see anything in there yet that's popped up. No one seems to be nothing there yet, so we'll have to we'll dip in and out of that and keep a little eye on it to make sure see if anything does happen. But yeah, this battle for 13th place overall and 1st place in silver class is still really, really hot. Again, they've all just traded places, haven't they? Oh, just noticed, that's one of the Van SimSports cars. Oh, mistake there from the Lexus coming out of corkscrew. Massive oversteer as he went through that flying left-hander just after the corkscrew, and that has allowed car number 169 to catch up at the back of them. Saying that, there's a position for the pole, there's a move, there we go. Ben's pushing through there. Can he get the move done? Can he hold on to it down into turn 1? He holds that little kick, yes, and I think almost, because the BMW's forced out wide. Car number 10 goes through as well, and the McLaren trying to have a little look up the inside. This entire pack of cars, millimetres from each other.
I mean, how we haven't seen more drivers have contact, I'm not quite so sure. But yeah, just there for the Yan Gang, just got passed by the 444, trying to move round the outside, which was optimistic, I think, to say the least, at the Andretti hairpin. Would have given him the inside for turn number 3. But yeah, just got caught out there, and that allowed Crixtalatis to get himself back up. And you can see there, Connor Wright was fighting with the cars in about 30th place earlier on. He's still a lap down. He's now just starting to work their way up the field, as we have actually seen a few cars coming to the pits. Sergei Skidinov and Jay Faggy coming into the pits at the end of that lap. So I'm not sure if they've got any damage or anything that they need to fix on their car. But it's, yeah, we normally see it's the 1 hour mark when drivers come from the pit stop.
Yeah, normally it'd be later in the race, but not this time round. People have decided to stay out, well, not able to stay out. And again, I wonder if it's just a case of tyre management. They just haven't managed to make their tyres last as long as they thought they would. Or were they going for a light start in the hopes that they could, oh, here we go, possibly going too wide into this final turn, isn't it? Yes! So this is the battle for 15th place. And we've now got the number 180, hang on, yeah, the 180 BMW going around the outside of Chico in the 169. Just trying to get the door closed, not able to, and Chico comes back through, retakes the position at the hairpin. Really well done by him. And I've just noticed on the back of that pack is the eSpurts car, but it's... Have the eSpurts guys had more issues? Because they are showing up running in 34th place still. So I think they may have had more issues and they're battling their way through back markers at this point.
Is that a pit stop that they've had that we've missed, or have they had another issue and another off at some point? We've had a few short yellow flags that don't seem to have really affected.
It's still the same driver in there in the
yeah, they're showing us one lap. They're showing us over. Ooh, that was very tight heading into the corkscrew. They're showing us a lap down on the leaders. So I can only imagine they've been into the pits, because yeah, they're now behind Connor Wright in the 31. So Lamia Fox's car has been into the pits earlier on. Again, is this an intentional thing that we're seeing, or maybe they did think we've got ourselves into a bit of traffic, we might as well, head out there and try something a bit different at this point in the race. Still plenty of time to recover. Talking about recoveries, the 199 Szymanski is now up into 24th place, and they currently do have the fastest lap of the race. So just showing, as we already spoke about, the pace of that Honda, it is looking brilliant. They must be ruining that tiny bit of contact, what happened earlier on, and we will keep you updated if we hear anything from race control.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very surprised I haven't seen anything from race control yet. Obviously, it might also depend how busy they are over in Tier 2. So this battle going on here, 18th place. Oh, and actually the eSpurts car now sniffing around the back of them, wanting to get past. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously these guys probably aren't going to defend from the Ferrari, but they're in their own battles. They can't afford to just let off the throttle and wave someone on by like they're under a blue flag, because they're not. In fact, that Ferrari will almost certainly be under blue flag orders, even though it's pushing on faster than the rest of them. So he's got to be a little bit careful if he can't get these moves. Oh, and there was a mistake from him. I think there may be slight frustration from those guys today. It looked like a mistake there at the chicane. Oh, the chicane, you know what I mean? The corkscrew. Sometimes it's just the names will go out the window for my brain for a little while. Although quite nicely, a lot of this track doesn't even have names. It's pretty much just a corkscrew. Everything else is just turn 1, turn 2, which does make it a lot easier when you're trying to go through things.
Yeah, I think it's the other circuits that were on the calendar. I seem to remember the names of. This one I had to look up, but all I remembered was Andretti hairpin. That's the only other one apart from the corkscrew I remember. I think it's pretty basic. What is a hairpin? You can understand that. We've got a few yellow flags up around the corkscrew. I'm not quite sure who they are at the moment. I think the 666 might have been involved in a bit of drama, but they've been able to carry on nice and easily. And Fox got to be careful here in the 869. We've already seen him get frustrated and go deep into the corkscrew. 781 behind him is no slouch either, because obviously they had that contact with the BMW earlier on of Ben Schaefer-Zekas, and that's why they are now more than a lap down. So both of these drivers trying to work their way through the field, and I suppose if you're the 781, it's nice that you've got a fast car sort of struggling down the back of the field with you, because they can create the gap that you can just follow your way through.
Yeah, it can be a really nice, if you are a back marker, or in this situation where a faster car has had an incident and is recovering, if you can follow a faster car, it's great because you can see, oh, they're braking there, I'll try that. And then it does. It's amazing how quickly you can try and pick it up and really learn a new line for yourself. You know, these guys have practiced. If they've only practiced with their teammates at similar paces, it's quite common that you'll all have a very similar line. Oh, there we go. Some people coming into the pits. Who's that? Yang Gang going into the pits. I'm going to presume this is people stopping for tyres and fuel, or at least tyres. I mean, you might as well fuel while you're in there as well. Keep the car as light as possible for every stint, and just, you know, you get 30 seconds for the tyres, so you might as well put fuel in at the same time. Oh, here we go. Eastbert's car possibly going to get up the inside under braking. Gives it a go. Squeezing past, yeah. Oh, and opens up the door for another one of the Bentleys as well. So that was kind of a 180 who just let him pass, and also let one of the Bentleys past as well. So at the front, it actually would appear that Parak has kind of got a bit of a wriggle on and has opened the gap back up again, hasn't he? It's now 3 seconds. So well, that gap...
That was about lap from Alvarado. 1.5 seconds slower than Parak on the last lap, and a second slower than the cars behind. So a mistake lapping traffic, maybe? Quite
possibly. It looks like... I say, I've noticed Parak only just got past that dark-coloured... one of the McLarens, and he was behind him for quite a while. I mean, he's back into this is the beginning of Sector 3, and I think he was pretty much the end of the lap. He was close to him, so it took him a fair while to get past that car as well. So yeah, it must have been a really bad lap from Alvarado.
It can just happen at the times. Like I think it was creeping up anyway, just by, you know, a tenth or two. Again, similar to what Alvarado was doing over previous laps on Parak, but definitely just one tiny little mistake from Alvarado meant he has dropped back and gives Parak that tiny bit of breathing space, a bit more time to just think about his own race and not think about what anyone else is doing. How much would the 101 want to have a bit of breathing space to be able to just think about what they're doing? Because they've dropped Matt York, though, of the 101 and the 720. They've dropped Matt York back 2.3 seconds now behind the top 5. Is the number 58 car, but Caracas can't get close enough, but now he can't afford to lift off the throttle and just have a few easy laps, because he knows the Beaver Grease Racing Lithuania car would be all over the back of him if that happens.
Yeah, and so Caracas not afraid to make a move. If there is a window open, he will definitely dive straight into it. Yeah, I wonder if this is now Caracas on the charge again, because that would explain also why York seems to have dropped off the back. Because the gap, obviously, between 4th and 5th was a lot bigger, and now it's closing up again. Is it simply because Caracas is just pushing forward suddenly so much harder? Oh, I think we may have just seen one of our lead drivers, the kind of a 199. He's just dropped a position, I think. Because he was in 23rd, I thought. He just disappeared off my timing screen for a moment, off the bottom of the board, so I don't know whether he almost just lost a position or what happened with my timing screen then. Something had a little bit of a wobble.
Nearly at the finish line, so it shouldn't be too long before we see what the last lap was from Szymanski. Cars around doing a 125. Yeah, 138 for Szymanski, so definitely made a mistake somewhere on that lap in the 199. Just you know, needs to keep things calm. Still with a great chance. Sub 20 get points, not too far off that position after spinning at the start of the race, and still with 7 hours to go. Things are getting quite a bit cooler here. You'll notice it's only been 50 minutes since the start of the race, but things have got a lot darker and a lot cloudier at Laguna Seca. Could we just see a little sprinkling of rain? Out of all the circuits we've had, this is the one that you'd least expect to see any rain. Silverstone, Monza at Spa, it's sort of guaranteed that at some point across some of the tiers, you're going to get some wet weather. As old has been at McLaren in the background, but number 16, I think not enjoying getting lapped by a lot of the field. They are down in last place at the moment, and Thomas Ruenevart's just spinning off there.
Very easy to do. Like we said earlier on, you go offline, it's very easy then to make a mistake and end up being in the wrong part of the circuit. So, having a little look now, that Grantis Caracas still trying to take the fight to Nowicki. That gap's definitely closed right up, 0.3 between them now. Is this a case that Caracas has gone, yes, I know, my tyres have cooled back down to a decent temperature, they're not over-grained, He's burnt probably a lot of fuel, probably coming into the last 15 minutes of his first stint before he needs fuel. Although we have seen the McLaren go a really long way on a single tank before. We've seen it really go some massive distances. You would imagine that most of these stints are just going to be full tank. Just brim the tank and go at that point this early in the race. And here we go. Yeah, Caracas on the attack now through turn 1, turn 2. Sorry, turn 2, turn 3, apologies. So this is turn 4 now coming in. Slightly tighter line there. He's very, very close. He's right on the back of Nowicki. Jump on board with Nowicki now, looking over the rear wing, puts a tyre into the dirt. Caracas has got a slightly faster line here. Off the corner, he had the guns, and he's going up the inside. Can he get the move done? He's passed him. He's not going to be in the best position for this turn coming up now, but he's going to want to try and shut the door, and oh, a little bit of contact. Car number 101 looked like he let off the throttle to try and get a position. He's now almost going to have the inside again, going up towards the corkscrew. So under braking, he does. Caracas has to give the position back. He knows he cannot go too wide through there. And again, we're going to finish the lap how we started it, with Nowicki in front, holding on to 4th place. But now Caracas clearly showing that he is hungry to take this position away. Oh, there we go. Car number 199 up to 21st place now. Gained a load of positions.
Yeah, 199 doing a fantastic job. I think Caracas, maybe this time, looks a lot closer on the run down into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. So this could be another opportunity. That BMW, the 101, sort of the opposite of what you think, has some supreme straight line speed. And Caracas not able to get close enough. Able to take a tighter line, though. So just going to force the BMW offline slightly. And this could be an opportunity. This is where they started battling on the previous lap. Well, this time, Nowicki, I don't think, has put a wheel on the grass. Ooh, just for a second there.
Yeah, he pushes into the gravel.
He's done it again. Gravel, the wheel on the gravel again from Nowicki. This time it's the outside line for Caracas. Heading up the hill. Can he get the cutback done? Can he get enough of the car alongside? No, he cannot. And the biggest winner out of all of these battles, of course, has been Matt York, because all of a sudden, the 58 Van Wall car is right on the back. The fight for 4th, 5th and 6th. Caracas, I think, is just starting to get a bit frustrated, get a bit heated in there, and I wonder how long it's going to be before we see one of these drivers come into the pits and just try something different on the strategy. Take advantage of fresh tyres. Yes, you'll have a lot more fuel. You might be able to jump yourself up to 4th place here.
I can't believe how quickly Matt York has caught these guys while they've been battling. I mean, it's playing right into his hands, isn't it, really? He's not having to slow down. He's going as fast as he possibly can, so he's not losing any time by sticking behind these guys battling. Again, he's got a really, really fast pair of guys in front of him. He can follow their lines, see where they're making mistakes, and and learn from all of those as well. Again, only making himself quicker every single lap. And he could get 2 positions if these two sort of like have a bit of contact. If they have a bit of contact and there's any issues, then if Matt York can stick close, if he can be within a second of them, he could quite easily find himself up into 4th place very, very easily. Again, it might almost be a bit of a clever move for him to not get too close to Caracas, let Caracas keep fighting, so he doesn't start defending, and then it's perfect. That's exactly what he needs. He just needs that BMW to be defensive, slow down Caracas as well, the two of them squabble, and Yorkie could possibly get a position here. I've just noticed car number 500 creeping into the back of the shot as well, so that's running in 7th place. That's not far off these guys anymore. I think just the way the traffic's worked, I think it's ending up with him being quite close.
Yeah, the 500 putting in a bit of a spurt on here, actually. Half a second faster than Matt York on the previous lap. And we saw Dyer and Horenz were actually faster than him as well. But yeah, Matt York's gained a lot of time. But it's only going to take a few laps before we could possibly start seeing Jubio get onto the back. And then we've got a 4-way battle for 4th place, and things will really be getting interesting for this fight. This time, Caracas just a bit further back on the run down towards the first corner, so I don't think he's going to be able to force Nowicki into a mistake unless the BMW goes a bit deep, and you can just see they're taking just slightly different lines through that double apex hairpin, the first real overtaking opportunity of the lap, the first real corner of the lap as well. Certainly in these conditions, turn 1 definitely not a challenge, but I think it's calmed down now just because Caracas knows he can't afford to just stick a wheel down the inside and hold both of them up, because like you said, Tim, that's just going to give Matt York a brilliant opportunity to get past one, very possibly get past the pair of them.
Yeah, if they actually collide, that's going to be, well, you know, Matt York will be laughing, but that's going to be devastating for the pair of them because they've done some pretty clean, close racing so far. I will let you know that Race Control have their first very, very large, giant paragraph of information has come up for these guys. Oh, hang on. Has it?
I saw that as well. It was definitely there.
It was there, wasn't it? And it's disappeared. So whether there was a mistake there, because I haven't actually seen any of them come up on the screen yet in game. So whether or not there may have been a slight typo in one of those, and they've quickly deleted it before we read it out, which was quite lucky, really, because I was sat watching it, ready to read it, and then suddenly it disappeared, and I was like, "Hang on, where did that go?" Backmarker coming up in front of
101 and 720's disappeared as well. Kaveka's catching back up to Nowicki just because of that tiny bit of traffic from the Aston up ahead. So this could be another opportunity for the Beaver Grease Racing Lithuania car. Seems to be faster at this part of the circuit. We saw a couple of laps. There was maybe a tiny bit of like contact. Maybe Nowicki just having to push the car or the BMW to the limits a bit more and just putting a wheel on the gravel coming through this section of the circuit. Keeps it nice and tidy that time. They're just getting away with it here. But they're costing themselves tons of time.
They really are.
Junior might not be too far back.
No, that's again, like you can just see that Ferrari in the back of the shop. That very, very brightly liveried Ferrari. It's just creeping in, isn't it? I mean, they don't want to keep doing this. They're going to end up. It's going to be a mistake for the pair of them, isn't it? Eventually, if they slowed themselves down too much. Just having a quick little look in the. Oh, that's come back again, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so race control's come back. I'm having a quick look at the chat. Quick look. This was from earlier on. So we had Nerd. Thank you very much. Yeah, doing our best to make sure everything looks good. Good afternoon, Ryan. Who else have we got here? We've got Alim. Didn't realise this was a game. Yeah, this is Assetto Corsa Competizione. So this is the official game of the GT3 World Series. Everything. So yeah, it's as close to real life as you're gonna get for GT3 racing. This is as good as it gets on PC. I personally think, anyway, it's all fully supported. There's no modifications. This is all in-game designed and is fully backed by the GT3 World Championship and British GT, the whole lot, all of the different things. Anything GT3 is pretty much covered by these guys, all the Americans as well. Right, try and have a little look. Here we go. Penalties rolling in. 30-second penalty for Alvarado. 10-second penalty for Benz. 15-second penalty for Smeets. Just trying to have a quick look and see if I can read through some of these.
5 seconds for the 444 and 15 seconds for the 55 as well. Might have heard me do was like, ooh, that was reading the Alvarado penalty. It was a tiny bit of contact, but I think that 30 seconds is obviously for the consequences of it. A lot of cars having the early parts of their race ruined, and very possibly the chances of them winning the race ruined by that contact on lap 1.
Yeah, and it's lap 1, essentially turn 1 as well, isn't it? It's, there's not much excuse for it these days. These guys, they're all very, very equal abilities. They should, this is their 4th race together. They should know reasonably how they're all driving, and that sort of top 10, they've been reasonably consistently similar kind of guys. So there's no reason that it's just that some unexperienced drivers made a mistake. It's these guys are really, really well practiced and well trained, so they should have good lap 1 etiquette. Yes, nobody wants to give up a position just being careful, but at the same time, it can ruin someone else's race. And so yeah, I think the 30-second penalty probably does seem about right, as it was lap 1 turn 1. It's just a killer, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's we said you don't want to lose a position being careful. Definitely wouldn't have lost 30 seconds being careful. I mean, this is going to put Alvarado, currently in 2nd place, fighting for the lead. This is going to put them in and around where York and Jubial are, I think, at the moment for 6th and 7th. So, yeah, not fatal to chances of a good race, but definitely not what they would have wanted. And that is going to give ourselves it's almost like going back into the 80s of endurance racing at Le Mans. We're going to have a Porsche 1-2.
Yeah. Be nice to see. Oh, there we go. Caracas into the pits. Obviously fed up of not being able to make the move. He is into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see then when Nowicki and York pit, see where they come out. Could have been worse though for the guys. They picked up penalties, but it only adds on that time to their pit stops. It's not a separate drive-through or a stop-go. At least it's a case of they can still stick with their pit strategies, just do the pit when they want, and they've just got to sit there for an extra 30 seconds at the end of the pit. It does, however, mean though, you're going to come out with tyres that have been sat getting cold for an extra 30 seconds.
Oh, it just feels so much longer. Even when you're doing a 10-second stop-go, a 10-second penalty at the end of the pit, it just feels like time is slowing down. It just takes forever. You just see your name dropping down the leaderboard, especially if you pit after someone else and you see them flying around. 30 seconds, you'll be nearly halfway around the track around here. And it just adds to that frustration. And they're all experienced heads here. They're all going to just keep things nice and calm. It's about the long game. It's about making sure that you're in good shape at the end of the race mentally, as much of everything, that you've not wasted too much energy being angry about things that have happened earlier on in the race. In the final hour, you've got to have full focus, and it always amazes me when we see it in real life with endurance drivers, how they sometimes seem to speed up by the end of the race, and that's when we, obviously in the final 10 minutes, the cars are starting to get a bit harsh, but the drivers know they've got nothing to lose, they might as well just go for it.
Oh, okay, quick update on the car number 720. Caracas out of the car. I don't think... That was a very, very quick pit stop. That was very quick pit stop. I don't really feel like they barely did anything in that pit. The car barely stopped. But it was a pit, and they've changed drivers. So, a bit of a switch around. They're now currently running in 17th place. Oh, and incident going on behind them. Audi getting into the gravel. That was kind of a 115, having a little incident. Luckily, no one too involved. So yeah, Povolatis into the car now. But that was I suppose it's not a very long pit, is it? I mean, the last race I did was at Spa, and it's just horrific. You're there for like what seems like about 3 hours driving through the pit lane just before you get to your pit box. So I think it's just a case of quite a short pit, but yeah, it just didn't seem like they were in there for very long at all.
I mean, at Spa, you've driven down a full-length pit lane, what they use for Formula 1, before you get to where obviously the GT cars are their own pit stops. So yeah, definitely does feel quite a bit long indeed. It's a shame that we're not going to see the 720 and the 199 together on track for quite a bit, because it'd be interesting, to see what kind of pace Szymanski has got compared to someone else's up there towards the front of the field. Because
he's going to have to pit soon, isn't he? I was about to say, if he's going to have to pit pretty soon, that car number 199.
Yeah, I mean, fastest lap of the race so far, 122.075, less than a second off what about 7 or 8 times a second off what we were seeing drivers do in Superpole, which is very good indeed. And this is definitely costing Povolatis at the moment, just getting caught behind the silver class car, again the sole Lamborghini of Ludwig. He absolutely loves being that Lamborghini. I suppose if you're the only car and things don't go too well, you can be like, well, it's clearly the car, clearly it's nothing to do with my driving.
Yeah, you can blame the car all season long, and no one else can say, oh no, it's fine here, because they're not driving it. Oh, mistake from the 199. Honda dips it into the gravel on the exit there. Doesn't rotate or anything, but definitely lost a lot of pace.
Yeah, I think obviously getting into the battle, even though we sometimes say don't fight someone else, but it's so hard. It's so hard to do. That instinct, the racer's instinct takes over, and also those tyres will have been changed on lap 1, very possibly when they were fixing the damage, looking very second best now.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the one place that obviously Povolatis is going to be carrying probably a load more fuel, really showing here on this straight. Actually, you see how much it drops off. Both Honda and Lamborghini pulling away pretty quickly, and actually the Lamborghini diving to the outside there and moving out the way. Maybe suddenly realised, oh god, that's the 720 car, and just decided to move out the way and thought, I don't want to get caught holding them up too much. Dubel, car number 500 in, Nowicki into the pits. Oh, so this is going to be the thing. Keep an eye on when Nowicki comes out the pit.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think I spotted it probably about the same time as you did there, Tim. Nowicki in the pits now, so got a bit of time, obviously getting this pit stop done, fresh rubber, fueling up that BMW. I'd imagine, just from the battling, that Povolatis has lost a bit of time. We'll see whether there's a driver change as well for the 101, whether they do end up putting someone else in at this stage of the race. Depends, obviously, a lot on how many drivers that you want and how fresh you want to keep everyone. Do you want to have loads of changes in every single pit stop, or do you want to let drivers do double stints but know that they might just start flagging tiny bit at the end of that one, and it has actually been a change. It's now, I think, Wojciech in the 101 car in the place of Nowicki. Looks like it's going to be fairly comfortably clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long pit run, though, isn't it? Down past turn 1, but yeah, literally, Arcetuthis is just about to cross the start-finish line now. So, yeah, Nowicki, I think, really played that nicely.
Looks like possibly around here, then, the life you're losing from the tyres not having as much of an effect as putting that extra fuel in, and as we suspected, Arcetuthis was losing quite a bit of time to the back of Ludwig's there. Obviously Ludwig's not doing anything wrong, but I think, judging by the fact that last lap Arcetuthis was 2.6 seconds faster than the Lamborghini, just shows how much time it costs them not being able to come into the pits. And what might be interesting then, can Matt York, who's now in the pits in the 58, jump the 720 car as well and take a place in the top 5 overall?
That is going to be the one to watch, isn't it, I think. So let's jump on board with Nowicki, who is running in... Oh, no, he's not in the car anymore, is it? So it's 10th place. So let's jump to 10th position. That's Ratzak. Sorry. Being slightly bunged up has made it really hard to pronounce any words because I'm constantly worried I'm going to make some awful noise on the stream. And so every once in a while I go to say something. Oh, no. Ratzak just gone pouring past Matt York, so it's gonna be... Where is Matt York? Matt York's still on that pit run, and he stayed in the car as well, so he's doing a double stint. Where is that 720? Is it coming?
Not coming fast enough.
No, not at all. He's quite a few places down, isn't he? So really bad luck with the traffic on that 720 car has cost them, well, quite a few spots. And I know there's a few of them still haven't actually pitted, but I mean, that's he's lost out to the 58 by a large margin now, though.
Lost out to the 500 as well.
Yes, he has, of Dubel, yes. That is a massive, massive loss, and it just shows that sometimes strategies do not go the way you expect them to. And you could end up... Hey, got the cameras to change, fantastic. But we'll stick with these for a little bit, a bit of camera set too. Yeah, it can just show you how, even though you think you've got the best strategy in the world, depending on what the traffic comes out like, you are not going to come out on top.
We said that was going to be an issue around here, being such a short circuit. It was going to cause problems, as we have got then the 2 race leaders coming in, the number 8 and the number 9, and obviously Alvarado is going to drop a long way down the field. So that's going to be interesting to see where the Honda comes out relative to this. We were thinking possibly in and around the 58 and the 500 car before the pit stops, but there's obviously with different cars getting caught in traffic, this is really going to cost Alvarado and give Pavel quite a sizable lead to have, especially after the first hour of a race. It's going to be talking about, just quickly get the live timing up, which you can see in the chat as well. Probably going to be talking in around 15-20 seconds. Not bad whatsoever.
I was actually going to say, I wonder if he won't serve his penalty this pit, and he might leave it till later in the race, because technically you can choose not to serve your time penalty, and you could just keep going after a standard pit and serve your penalty slightly later in the race. I wondered if he was maybe going to, for the sake of the traffic being good where he is, whether he was going to risk it and just come on out. But no, he's obviously decided that no, he would go and serve it. So he's still in there, isn't he, at the moment, serving his penalty as we speak. Parak just about to rejoin the track. Obviously, being an endurance race, it's sometimes a bit more difficult to work out who's pitted, who hasn't pitted. But I would imagine most people are getting to the end of what their car and stint timer can take. So just over an hour and 5 minutes of the race complete. I'm trying to remember
Alvarado just coming down pit road now and going to get jumped by the number 58. It's going to be might be a close one to watch actually here with the 500. Whether he can manage to get himself ahead of the number 9 as well, the Baboon Motorsports car. I think the Baboon car is just about going to be clear heading around turn 1, but that is how costly that 30-second time penalty has been all of a sudden for the number 9. Now with Guilherme Hamling in the car. Earlier on, fighting for second, looks as though they might take the lead. Now drop down in towards 5th place.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think car number 303 hasn't pitted yet, or has it pitted? I can't remember.
I think it has. I think that was the bookie car.
Yes, it has. It has pitted. So they up into second place now, and they may be the ones that have played this the best out of anyone, to be fair, because they were, what position were they in? They were in fourth?
I think they were in third.
Yes, they would have been third. Yes, they would have been. But yeah, so fantastic little move. Got himself up into second place there. So second spot on the podium is always a winner. And I imagine the Porsche boys will be very, very pleased to see the Porsches doing so well here today.
Yeah, as we said, tracks this season don't seem to have suited the Porsche really, not been really fighting towards the front. In fact, I don't think we've seen the 3-on-3 car all season, if I'm being honest. But yeah, they've done a fantastic job, and just number 199's only just started coming into the pits. Did wonder for a second how he managed to get himself back into the top 10, KUNOS-Simulazioni. But obviously, having pitted on lap 1 of this race explains why he was able to go a slight bit further on. It just shows how close things are at the moment, that after everyone had pitted, Simonsky was able to work their way up into the top 10. And obviously, someone else who's now up into the points is SIMSOK in the 869, having either had an issue or had that pit stop early on. I'm starting to wonder if it was a bit of an earlier pit stop then, during that stint for SIMSOK, and that is why we're now seeing that number 869 car back up into the points, which I'll be delighted about, fighting all over the back of Lattis, who is second in the silver class.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how this strategy for them works out. Obviously up into 18th place now, but they're on a very different sequence for pitting. Going to be interesting to see whether it ends up working to their advantage or not. To be fair, it's so far seems to be working after a disastrous start, no fault of their own. We'll see how this goes, but yeah, really strong effort to get that far back up through the grid that quickly. You were saying earlier on about driver stints, about drivers burning themselves out. One of the drivers here in the 869 car, Honzik, or as he's more popularly known, oh my god, my brain's just gone. I literally had his Jardier. That's the one. I could literally envision his smiling face, and I couldn't actually think of his name for a moment. So yeah, Jardier apparently is taking part in the 12 hours of Bathurst as well today. And possibly something else.
I'm sure there's another race as well he's doing.
Yeah,
I think he's doing about 3 different races.
I think he's doing about 3 different races. So whether or not he's just going to do minimum stint time in all those races, and then leave it to the rest of his team to do, obviously spots at different teams. But either way, that is absolutely ridiculous to try and do all that racing in one day. I mean, who am I to judge? The man can clearly do it, and he's, even after probably 24 hours of racing all on his own, he'd be quicker than me. So fair play to him. But you were saying about driver burnout, and especially here at Laguna, it's easy to do, and again, it's a very, very unforgiving circuit. So hopefully that team don't suffer the consequences of possibly an overtired driver. We'll see how it goes. At the moment, 17th place for them though, looking pretty good. Just noticed car number 304 has a 10-second penalty as well. Can't remember.
Aged, because it's showing on race control. That was right. Car number 304 has a 25-second time penalty. So
yes, so I don't know what that is. Whether or not maybe it hasn't been, they haven't added the other seconds on yet, because I think you have to do it in increments. Or it's just more messages have just come through, hasn't it? 15-second penalty for car number 115 incoming as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's the 115 Audi, which is currently 5th in this overclass. We did see, I think, a tiny bit of contact involving that car earlier on. Again, just so difficult when you're trying to work your way through the field. Things can very easily go wrong. I wonder now, going back to the 869 with Jardier doing as many different races as a man could fit into a day, I wonder whether that's why we're staying slightly different stints, because they're obviously going to have to work around what he and maybe some of the other drivers are doing in different races as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we've got a few racing around Bathurst. We talk about this track being unforgiving. Bathurst is another one where, especially if you're heading through the uphill section and then down through the S's, any slight mistake can easily be raced over there.
You know what? I love it though. I absolutely love that track. I adore that circuit. I don't know why. It's just, yeah, I love it. It's great. Even in the wet, it's a brilliant circuit. I've got to have a quick shout out, as this is a livery that I had not spotted when I was going through all the liveries earlier on. Car number 666 being driven by Salter? We'll go for Salter, I think, probably, isn't it? I'm not sure. Martin, we'll go use his first name. I do apologise. It's a Warburton's Bread and Jägermeister McLaren, and it's fantastic. It is possibly one of the greatest liveries I think I've ever seen. It's absolutely great. So they might be getting my livery of the day award, I have to say. That is an absolutely fantastic looking livery.
There was one that I really enjoyed last time out. It was one of the, I called it the Bentley-ton, because it had the sort of 1980s Formula 1 Benetton livery.
Nice.
Just on the Bentley, and it looked absolutely fantastic. But it doesn't look like they are taking part in the race today, unfortunately. But all the beeswax cars, I think, so have some decent liveries on them. I must say,
it's a beeswax car, isn't it? Yes, it is. It's a beeswax. I totally missed that bit. I was so busy looking at all the little details on the livery as it was whipping on past. I was like, that's really cool. And then suddenly was like, oh, hang on. When as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, oh, so it is.
Yeah, with the Warburtons and the Jägermeister. Other bread and other spirits that you can mix with energy drinks are available. But yeah, Deinoldt doing an okay job at the moment in 32nd place. And just got that 444 as well, rolling thunder. That car seems to have dropped back quite a bit in the pit stop period. May well have had did have that 10-second time penalty. And again, that's how close things are in that silver class, because when they were going in earlier on, I believe when it was Beats driving, they were right up towards the top of that class, now down in third.
Is everything still alright? There was a weird noise came off your voice and I watched the car go through the floor, but it appeared to all be back.
Yeah, I mean that might well have just been my voice. Who knows?
No. It was because I was watching Connor Wright going up past the number 50, the 501 Ferrari, unlapping himself at that point, and suddenly the nose of the car went through the corner while he was on the brakes, and I was like, "What's going on?" And your voice made a very strange robotic sort of whine, and I was like, this doesn't seem quite right. And then it all just clicked back and it was fine, but then you weren't saying anything and I was worried that it had all gone wrong. But OBS doesn't seem to have lost too much, so apologies if there was any kind of interruption there.
The joys of technology.
Oh yeah, the joys of internet. You'd think by this point they would have solved it, but no, of course not. Of course they haven't. Oh, okay. Oh, go for it.
TSA Conovite's just doing a decent job, obviously. They lost that lap earlier on. Still, obviously, paying the price of all of that, but still only one lap down on the leaders. Yeah, Connor now just trying to work his way past all these silver class cars. You can see fighting through the 55 there of Eco 55 as well. Very nice complication. What the car he's driving, just making their way up. As soon as he gets ahead of, I believe, Mills, he's in 24th place at the 177. He's got a bit of free air, so that's where Wright will really be looking forward to, just trying to see what that BMW can do. And again, just trying to salvage something from what has been a difficult race. It always used to be one of the Van Wall SimSok cars has some sort of either minor drama. In the case of Spa, when Matt York disconnected in the 58, and here, what happened in Turn 1, quite a major drama.
Some teams just have bad luck with it, don't they? I mean, we've seen it in previous races as well, or you see a team that have just done amazingly all race long, and then suddenly they're just miles behind, and you're like, how did that happen? What happened there? And it's just, it can just happen, can't it? Again, obviously with sim racing, you do have to think about the issues of, you might have internet issues, or your PC may have issues, or that just your wheel and your rig and your pedals may have issues. I think a lot of the time you just have to think of it, it's the same as in real life with mechanical issues. You know, realistically, you can have quite a lot of damage if you have a crash here on ACC, and it may only be in the pits for 5 minutes, whereas in reality, if you have a crash, you know, and a team's got to do replace brakes, sort lights out, duct tape the whole car back together, you might be in the pits for over an hour. You know, you do see it, especially these endurance races, you see cars sat there in the pits being rebuilt with, you know, gaffer tape for long periods of time. So if you do disconnect, it can sometimes be a case of just try and come back as quickly as possible. You know, you do see some people calling for like restarts and things like that, especially when top drivers end up either disconnecting or whatever. But it's just one of those things, you know, in real life you have issues, and in sim racing you have issues as well. You know, sadly they are slightly different, but such is life, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's like you said, in real life we get random mechanical failures, and it's certainly annoying for the drivers when that one happens. I'll never forget Toyota at the 24-hour of Le Mans. I remember a few years ago when they loved it to be a 23-hour and 55-minute race. It's just frustrating. It's just one of those things. Could get some pretty decent battling going out on track soon, though, towards the front of the field. We've been looking at some of the more midfield stuff. We've got Adam Dubiel in the 500 at the moment, just trying to work his way past some traffic, and it has allowed Kovalatis in the Beaver Grease Racing Lithuania McLaren, as well as the Baboon Motorsports Honda of Hamling, to get their way back on. So 5th, 6th and 7th could be all starting to just get a bit feisty soon. Hamling and Kovalatis were both quicker than Dubiel on the previous lap, so fight for 5th place could certainly be heating up again. And again, 720 looks as though it's going to be frustrated behind another car for quite a long time, after spending the entire first stint, it seemed, behind the 101, driven by Nowicki then. We'll see whether they've got any more luck getting ahead of Dubiel in the 500 Ferrari.
Looking at the way and how quickly Kovalatis is now closing in on the back of that Ferrari, he's oh, actually, look, he almost had a little look up the inside there, didn't he? He's like just a little nudge to the left, just poking his nose up there, just appearing in that left side mirror on the car 500, probably just saying, you know, just be aware that I'm coming for you. So quite often you do sometimes find, if you're in a car and you know you are much slower than the person behind you, it can sometimes almost be better to let that driver through, because again, you've got 6 3/4 hours left of this race. There's no point. Oh, and again, you see he's really pushing himself, Dubel, to try and stay out front of Dubel. Of Dubel. No, of Kovalatis. Goodness gracious, my brain is broken. It's not looking good. I'm here till 10 o'clock this evening. It's not looking like my brain is going to hold it up very well, is it? At this point.
At least you can take a rest from streaming for the final half.
Yes, I can, yeah. So, that's a quick thing just to remind everybody, just while we're here. At about 6 p.m, around that kind of time, maybe slightly after, there will be an ever so slight break in the stream, and we will be going across to the Part 2 stream, still here on Apex Online Racing. It's all there and ready to go, so it'll literally be a case of there'll be a couple of minutes just while we all switch everything over, and I believe it is Chinson who's taking over streaming duties. I should still be in the commentary box, probably going to be a lot more hoarse-voiced by then, and I may sound like one of those stereotypical people that have, smoke 60 cigarettes a day, and I'll be here going, into turn 1, or something, but I'll be doing my very best to keep it going. Are you sticking around with us, Luke, or not? Or are you shooting off at some point?
I will be off pretty much. I'll be here for the entire of the first stream, but I will be shooting off for the second stream. I've had quite a busy day today, and pretty much double booked myself. So as is Yardy Air and a few of these drivers, by the sound of things, we're just making it work.
Got to be done, isn't it? Yeah, I've got to dip out and help put my son to bed, because the life of a sort of 10, 11-month-old baby, it's still needs a little bit of help going to sleep. It's not quite as easy as, off to bed, mate. So I'll be dipping out a little bit at that point. So you know what, the real life commentators don't have to deal with this. They get catered and looked after, and instead I'm sat in my loft with I've got a cup of water on my left and a pack of Jaffa cakes on my right, and I'm loving it. This is all I need. It's stream friendly food. It's not too crickly, doesn't make too much noise. Kovalatis is, I want to say, I think he realised how quickly, Dubel has realised how quickly Kovalatis was coming up behind him, and has managed to just extend away slightly, but he has got a pair of back markers in front of him now. And I think those two are battling for position. Possibly. Yeah, that is Ludwigs and Krebs, isn't it? Yes. So that's the battle for 21st place. So, flashing the lights furiously, that 500 car, saying, please, for God's sake, get out of the way. But again, they are battling for their own position. They will be under blue flags, but it's very easy to, get a bit stuck into your own battle. And a dive up the inside there for car 500. Is that going to mess up his exit speed? I was about to say, I didn't know whether maybe the whether the Lamborghini had realised that then also he had another car trying to pass him. But no.
It's got a bit deep there, it looks like. 500, just a tiny bit deep into the second part of that hairpin, but this straight not long enough for Povolatis to take advantage.
No, and I don't even really know where the McLaren has sort of advantage over the Ferrari. I mean, you know, we've seen that the cornering speed earlier on against other cars was really good, but again, the Ferrari, quite a similar car. It's very low, it's very wide, and sort of squats down to the floor. I think the pure acceleration of the McLaren can come in to help, and again, a big look up the inside there. I think he may have unsettled the car slightly on himself there, actually. Looking at a little bit of a wobble. He's very close at the top of the hill. 500 flashing again. Oh, and the McLaren dives out the way, and he's going to lose a position there to his Lamborghini, I think. Yes, he did. So dived out the way. He didn't need to maybe dive that sort of drastically out the way, and he's lost a position himself.
Yeah, it's an art when you're a back marker. You've got to know how to try to do it and lose the least time as possible. Normally, it's just on the entry to the corner. You can lift a tiny bit, save a bit of fuel as well. It might just help you go that extra one lap on the stint. But yeah, not really the best place to do it now, I think, on the entry to the corkscrew. It's a very narrow corner. Treb's costed himself quite a bit of time, and I imagine Adam Dubio was absolutely delighted when he saw the McLaren driving off. I imagine Mantas Povolatis was just ruined that he didn't get a bit more assistance for another lap or two. But yeah, definitely lost about 7 or 8 tenths of a second, I think, per lap compared to what they were doing on the previous ones. They were looking very quick and very close on pace, as have all the top drivers, to be honest. Harek doing a 1:23.1 last lap, Mizoffi doing a 1:23.5, Ratchak 1:23.2, Matt York 1:23.3. They're all sort of in that low 1:23 range and putting on a really consistent performance. Povolatis might be thinking that he's got a bit more pace if he can get ahead of Dubio. That looks like being the story of the 720s race so far.
Yeah, he's just got, well, they've got the pace, they just can't seem to find a way past, can they? It's really been a sting in the tail for them this time round. Giving you a quick update on the cars, obviously we lost on turn 1. So I can see him a moment ago, now being very blind. Come on, brain, where have you gone? Connor Wright up in the 24th place. So making some progress up through, and that's the car number 57, one of the Van Wall Sim Sport cars. And the other big loss we had obviously was car number 869, still running in 16th place, but as we know they are on a very different pit strategy, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all blends and works together in the end.
Yeah, and the other one, of course, who had to come into the pits was the 199, the
yes.
Honda Team Moto car. Now Ryan Cooper behind the wheel, was Szymanski earlier on. They've got themselves back up towards 20th place. They're now closing up to the back of Trozen, who's also had his own issue. So, the 781 Bentley car. So there's going to be an interesting battle to watch out for. And Samir Falk has now got ahead of Crystal Artis. It took him a fair few laps, and that is what we've been saying about all day long. These silver class cars are very good drivers indeed, and Falk did not find it as easy. I think it took him probably at least 5 to 10 laps before he was able to work his way past the Lexus. So fair play to Gediminas Cristalatis in the extra greasy Beaver Grace racing car. He was certainly a slippery customer as Samir Falk was trying to get ahead of him.
Yeah, certainly did not go down without a fight, did he? So he held on to his place. But to be fair, look how quickly he's broken away from it though. Like now he's made that move, which I know, you know, was a little while back, but he's really pulling away pretty quickly now. Already onto the back of the 95 Porsche in front of him, of Scheckerman. How
fastest
quickly...
car outside the top 10 by the looks of it. Well, no, Conor White was the fastest car, sorry, outside the top 10. But yeah, these faster guys obviously working their way back up. But Falk, in free air, I think showing the sort of pace that they'd be up there with Jubiel as possibly the fastest Ferrari at the moment, the 869 KEK-W Clown Fiesta Experts car, which is exactly where we'd be expecting it to be. But Scheckerman, that 95, of course, having a penalty and having started issues, no slouch either. So these two, who knows, might possibly be able to work together. I don't think Scheckerman's quite got the pace of Spouts, his teammate, but doing a decent job at the moment in 15th. And Fock will be hoping that can clear this Porsche and those cars just up ahead of him. As we see the Aston Martin there, the lead Aston Martin in silver class of Papin, just making a move on a back marker. see how quickly Fock can work their way up the field. The top 10, certainly a big possibility. Still 6.5 hours to go.
All possible moves here into turn 2. We've got car number 95 going on the inside of the McLaren number 1. It's the back marker. Both go through. Yeah, makes it through quite nicely there. I'm noticing that's the Papin number 77 as well. Again, like you said, silver class driver, still keeping these guys at bay quite nicely, isn't he? Which
124.5. We're seeing, I mean, last lap around, Hamlin did a 126. Up at the front, must have made a mistake. But yeah, probably only about half a second off what we're seeing drivers doing in the top 10, which is not much whatsoever unless you're in motor racing, where it is an absolute chasm, unfortunately. But yeah, Remy Papin in the Celtic Bromance car. Very nice livery, I've got to say, on that Aston Martin. We haven't really spoken too much about 77 car. They just delved their way up towards the front, kept the nose clean, not being involved in any trouble, and now reaping the rewards of that one.
Yeah, see, that when it comes to endurance racing can be the thing that you don't necessarily notice. These people that just slowly but surely just pick away at places and they just get their pitch strategies right and they just keep going. And then suddenly at the end of the race you're like, hang on, they gained 20 positions, but you sometimes don't notice because it's not some epic battle going on. They're not battling for lap after lap. They're just catching up with someone, getting the job done, moving on past them. And although it may not be sort of like, you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to shout about this and commentate about it and yell, but those are the kind of drivers that make absolute huge gains. And over the space of a championship, if you can do that, if you can just keep pushing yourself up, and he's the lead AM driver at the moment, it's great. It's a brilliant way to do it. And he's got 2 blockers between him and 17th place, which is the 3rd place silver driver. So he's got like a nice little buffer there as well.
Yeah, I've seen it happen in other series, especially obviously with a championship at this show. Kind of being expected it is going to be that consistent, just one DNF can do you out over the entire season. But I've seen it in other championships where drivers have won no races all season long and have won the championship because they're always there or thereabouts, and that just seems to be what the 77.
There's a collision. There's a collision at the corkscrew. Who was
444? I think involved in that.
Oh dear. 444 was running in. Come on, brain.
31st.
Let's see if we can go back and get a view on that one. So this is top of the corkscrew. We got Rower Racing coming up behind them as well. What happened here? Oh, Rower Racing gets together with McLaren and then ends up rotating the 444. And then a whole bunch of them pile on down through. And for an incident at the corkscrew, that was incredibly lucky. The McLaren ending up off circuit after the turn as well. But yes, as corkscrew incidents go, that was about as lightly as it could have gone, I think. But these guys all up together, pretty closely tucked in. There's back markers all over the place here as well. It's a real mixture of cars. I think that's maybe where the issue's gone. It's just a difference in pace between these guys. I'm not expecting it. I'm trying to remember which number the Rower Racing BMW was.
871. So I was doing the same scrolling through the field. I'm sure they had a bit of contact with the 444 earlier on. They've been keeping very close together. It is, like you said, it's a different mix of cars. As you can see there, Fock and Shekaman just trying to work their way through this traffic. And Shekaman's managed to do that. Fock not getting the move done at the corkscrew, which is just going to add to the frustrations. Judging by their strategies earlier on, though, they are just trying to stretch things back to more normal. I reckon in 5 or 10 minutes we might see the Ferrari diving into the pits.
Yeah, so that different stuff. Can't speak. Brain's gone. Good lord. What is going on? Help me, Luke. I'm losing my mind.
Only 6.5 hours to go.
I know. It's bad, isn't it? If it's already going this badly. So I do apologise. It's just my brain is completely stewed for a little moment. I'm just going to quickly grab a glass of water, so I'll be back in literally 30 seconds. It's just too far out of reach, so just 2 seconds and I will be back. So we're just on board with our leader at the moment, if you want to carry on for a minute, Luke.
Yeah, we'll just follow Parek round. It's making their way into the corkscrew as well, comfortably. Fastest car out there. They were comfortably the fastest in the group qualifying, the normal qualifying session, half a second quicker than everyone else there average. Fastest in Super Bowl. the Flying Estonians, living up to their name at the moment, certainly flying their way around this circuit. Round about 25-second lead they've got at the moment. In fact, if I get you the exact time, it might find out that it's grown more than that. It's a 33-second lead. They are doing a superb job. They're probably not too far away from having half a lap lead at this race. Getting a full lap lead, always, of course, making them feel quite nice, but Pavex just kept it careful. They know they can't afford to relax too much, and there's always that fine line in the endurance race. Do you take things nice and easy once you've got this lead, or do you just give yourself that tiny bit of a buffer to get yourself further up the field, just in case you have any issues later on? That is the challenge that Pavex is facing at the moment, and judging by the pace, Pavex is definitely going for the drive flat out and see how things go option. I think being aided by the fact that the 303 is in quite a bit of traffic at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'm going to imagine as well, there's always that thing of, you see some people, they build up, like, let's say, a 10-second lead, and then they just seem to just use that as a buffer, and, you know, if it starts getting below 8 seconds, they push harder, and then obviously if it goes up to, like, 12 seconds, they back off slightly, don't take so many risks. But sometimes when you're not pushing flat out, that's when you make mistakes. When you're just going to try and go that little bit slower, because then you're not necessarily going flat out, you get your braking zone slightly wrong. You know, you turn in a little bit early because you're going slightly slower than you normally would be, and it can make really, the issues can almost compound really quickly, because how often do you practice not going flat out? Normally when you sit down and think, right, I'm going to do an hour or so's practice at, at Laguna Seca, and once you get the car warmed up and you're like, right, it's go time, let's see, how long I can go flat out, you don't tend to practice taking it steady. So you do sometimes find that that's when people make mistakes, is on this slightly slower, taking a breather, taking it easy, trying to be safe, because you end up thinking, oh, well, I won't take, too much inside curb here. And then suddenly you find yourself, oh God, I can't make the exit. I'm going wide on the exit, because you're just not used to it. Parak coming up on one of the back markers now. I did think the BMW was going to let off the throttle there to let him pass, but he hasn't. He's under blue flags. He's moved off the racing line. Might need to have a little bit of a lift on the throttle before... Yes, there you go. Lifts off the throttle. Ooh, but nearly gets up the inside of him. I think there was a bit of panic there from the BMW, not expecting Parak to come across back onto the racing line. That certainly unsettled him. He's dropped quite a long way back very quickly. I think that was fairly close.
Yeah, I can always... Like, as we said, it's an awkward place to try and line him on by into the corkscrew. That sort of blind corner with the way the corner goes round. The battle that we were seeing earlier on between 77.95 and 869 for 14th, 15th and 16th has got an extra participant, because Sam Maudsley all of a sudden has dropped into the clutches of Papi, Sheckerman and Falk. And in fact, this might be an opportunity round the outside at turn number 9. Can't quite get things done. Papin looks quicker, but has just never been able to put his car just in that place that he needs to be able to do so to get a move done. And on a few occasions, like we just saw there coming out of turn 10, has just ran wide and then loses all that momentum. And all of a sudden has to go from attacking to defending all of a sudden. Now, can he get a good enough run out of the final corner? Can he get in the slipstream of this Bentley? And can we see the Silver Class leader move himself up into 13th overall? Not on this occasion, but Papin's definitely, again, putting in some great performance, and Sheckerman has gone into 15th, and Samir Falk, as we were expecting, not been able to go too much longer, as Sheckerman thinks about a move down the inside of Papin there, can't quite make it work. As we were expecting, Samir Falk is into the pits. I imagine we might see a driving change. Can't see Falk going on for 2.5 hours.
Car number 28 sitting sideways in the track. That was a BMW. Well, these guys just thundered on past. Car number 28. That is Pawlowski. Oh, and car number 58's involved. Car number 58 has also had an incident. What has gone on there?
Pawlowski was trying to reverse to get out of the way and collided with the 58.
Oh, so he made a mistake and he's gone on the gravel on the exit of turn 5 and ended up then bouncing off the inside and hit the brakes and held. So he's held the brakes for a long time. He's trying to rejoin. He's tried to go forwards. He's gone forwards a little bit. This car's going, oh no! And he did, he reversed into car number 58. He just should have stayed still. He should have just stayed still and waited for traffic. Oh, and his car is absolutely destroyed, that car number 28. So car 58, that was...
That's the Matt York car.
That is the Matt York car, isn't it? So after a really, really clean race for him from himself, he then really, really did get stung there. I mean, 100% not his fault, and the car is barely limping back to the pits. It's still better to drive back than teleport, but that's a real shame. Enters the pits in 7th position, and I imagine he will be absolutely fuming with that incident. That was just purely one of those things of trying to rejoin the circuit, but you know, it's a nasty place to try and rejoin just there.
If anything, the smart thing to do from the 28 would have been to reverse back initially, put your car a bit more on the gravel, and then see if you could turn around. Once it committed to going forward, just sat in the middle of the circuit, it was always going to be awkward. And we said it, there's barely any way you can get gap.
Yeah.
Just try and find your way through. It was, you know, very easy for me to say, sat here as a commentator, you know, obviously in the heat of the moment, just trying to recover as quickly as possible. But Matt York, massive consequences for the 58. Going to drop. Would not surprise me if drops behind his teammate. Probably a long way off the back of the field with that damage. Certainly, I'm expecting that to be another big penalty from the stewards.
Yeah, that's got to be big, I imagine. Papin into the pits. So that is our leading silver class driver into the pits. And right behind Matt York, who's still sat there with a very, very broken BMW. I imagine they are going to be there a little while. Yeah, it's rejoining the track is always hard, but I mean, at the moment where he pulled onto the circuit and then he'd already had one car go round the back of him, he should have then just held the brakes and stayed still for a moment. Yes, he was in a bad spot, but there was room either side of him for cars to pass. You know, to then suddenly decide, oh, I need to get out of the way, just obviously wasn't the move to go for, sadly. And obviously other people paying the consequence of that. So Papin leaving the pits now. Dropped down a fair bit, so 14th place. Where is 14th place? So that's Crystallis, who's just coming down through the what do you want to call it? Corkscrew. That's the one. Again, my brain just decided it did not want to remember it. So,
but again, you know, Crystallis is some good pace here. He got dropped by Fock earlier, but has now caught up to the back of Sheckerman and Maudsley, who were battling with Samir Fock before he came into the pits. And I said I didn't expect Fock to go for another stint. He is still in that car, so I think perhaps, like as we expected, they are just trying something different here. And I'm just going to check which drivers they've got today to make sure they've got 3 drivers in as well. They've got Malinovsky, a very quick driver, of course, was in for Super Bowl last time out in Spa, where the Ferrari was the quickest car. So I wonder whether Makic is also taking part in multiple races. And Fock is just going for a bit of an endurance run here. Just clearly still enjoying himself, clearly putting in some good times. I mean, 123.362 on the previous lap was only a 10th of a second slower than our leader. So certainly no signs of fatigue yet from Fock.
No signs at all. He's still really pushing forward. Someone on a recovery drive, car number 95, that Porsche of Brian Sheckerman, as we said a moment ago, up to 13th place, so nearly inside the top 10 after a disconnect. Oh no, sorry, it was no FFP, wasn't it? So no force feedback on the steering wheel. So I mean, that's a hell of an effort. Massive respect for them starting from the pits, which meant they didn't get to do the formation. They then had to start at the back of the grid. They then have to do the entire pit roll all the way out. So they would have been quite a long way back. And so to get himself up to 13th place, you know, that's some really, really good going.
And looking very racy at the moment on the back of the 117. I think, in a way, it might have been a blessing in disguise, which where they were near the front of the field, just trying to miss all that chaos happening on the run down towards turn number 1.
Kind of 101 goes through. Is that a
the 101 coming through?
101 is he's positioned. Oh, he's 3rd place, isn't he? So that was under blue flag. So I suddenly was like, where on earth did he come from? He just dove through, but yes, that would be why, under blue flag orders. So Sheckerman definitely
trying to move his way through the field. We have got Nowicki in the chat. So hello, Nikolaj. Did a good job earlier on. Just trying to see. I mean, at the moment, there's only about 3 seconds between 2nd and 3rd, so that might be something to watch out for later on. Is can Ratachak get onto the back of Mazzofi and just sort of ruin the Porsche party?
and it be done. Can someone upset the Porsche by? I'm trying to see now. There was a really... Oh, I've gone a little too far forward, haven't I? Povolatis, right on the back of Dubel. This has been a squabble that's been going on for quite a while now. Again, Povolatis being pretty considerate, not really forcing the issue. There's a little bit of traffic coming up in front. Can Povolatis play this to his advantage? He's going to be probably pretty desperate to get this done now, isn't he? Like, I mean, he's been stuck behind this car for quite a while. Just noticed skidding off car number 920 into the pits as well. And we keep coming back to this battle, don't we? We keep cutting back across. Keep an eye on these guys, but it's just, they are so close. They're so close. 0.2 of a second between them.
As you were saying, Tim, the Ferrari and the McLaren, you know, the very similar sort of body shape of the cars. I think we can see that here, and just very similar pace at the moment. There's nowhere where that McLaren is exceptionally quick compared to Dubiel in that Ferrari. And with the nature of, you know, esports classes tend to be the creme de la creme tend to be a lot closer together than what you see in reality. Povolatis has got to rely on a bit of a mistake from Dubiel, or rely on him getting held up in the traffic, which is a big possibility, seeing as he has got one of the backmarked BMWs just ahead of him at the moment. So this might be the opportunity Povolatis needs if he can get close enough, because it has been at least a lap. We have seen that Ferrari right underneath the BMW.
Yeah, but to be fair, the BMW's putting in a really good stint as well. The time, oh, nearly getting together at the top of the corkscrew there. He's under blue flags, but I mean, again, he still doesn't have to abandon his lap. He, you know, basically it's just stay on the racing line and don't defend, and he's not defending, but, you know, rightly so. He's racing his race. Let's have a quick look and see if I can get the number on that BMW. We'll probably be able to see it in the next shot, I would hope. Car number 370, yes. So they are running in 14th place. So not that far down the grid, and so you can see the difference in pace all across this grid is so small. Because again, the Ferrari isn't just sailing by. Big flash there. Oh, McLaren having to go very evasive there and avoid the incident. So all that hard work undone. I think he was almost going to dive to the inside under brakes, and then obviously the Ferrari went there after flashing, and so he suddenly had nowhere to go. He was about to... Okay, that was a really weird noise, just came through my headphones.
Oh, no, I have noticed something has happened on, I don't know if it's just my timing tower that's gone for me, but we have lost. The 303 has disappeared.
303.
Was in second place. And he's now nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, he has. He's vanished. I had a... Oh, no. He's appearing on my broadcasting app as in 5th place, but he's not clickable, which means he's gone. That car is gone. So whether they've had a disconnect, possibly, it says... I don't know. Yeah, I think they've just...
Disconnected.
I think they've gone. I had a really odd noise come through my headset a moment ago that literally sounded almost like a gunshot, and then all the game audio was gone, and then it slowly came back, which was odd. And then as you said that, 303 had disappeared, so I don't know what that was. Very odd. Something I've never had before in any of the racing or commentary I've ever done. It's a very weird noise. So...
And I had a bit of a weird noise as well, so I'm wondering if that's what it was causing it. The 303 disconnecting, but just noticed all of a sudden that Ratchak and Dubiel were, well, Dubiel and Povolatis, so we were battling for 3rd and 4th all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Not 2nd and 3rd. Looked for perhaps a car having come into the pit, realised we were having to go a long way down the order, so disaster for what was looking like a very solid performance from the 303. Because, you know, if they disappeared completely, that might well be race over.
Yeah, I hate to say it. If it's a disconnect, it's tends to be pretty bad. It takes you a long time to get back in. That's a real shame. I'm just cutting back to Scheckerman versus Maudsley. So this is Porsche versus Bentley, two very different cars. battling it out there. 0.3 between them. So not a great deal between these guys. Coming down into turn 2, turn 3. It'll be interesting to see what happens. See if we get any idea of what happened. If anyone is either sort of knows the 303 team, or you know, if they are streaming, if anyone is watching it and also is aware of us, if anyone could let us know what happened to them, that would be great to know. We'll try and keep a little eye on the Discord and see if anything pops up. That would be, you know, sort of in the endurance area. We might see something. Nothing there yet to suggest why.
Yeah, it's, I think it's pretty clear there's been some sort of, disconnect from the server. It's just...
Yeah, they've definitely disconnected, haven't they? And that would also be why my timing, because my timing screen is showing both car number 9 and 303 as in 5th place. So that would explain it on this end as well. And it's just, they've left, well, which is a real shame if they've had an incident and they've gone.
I'm going to try and, I do believe I have, may have one of the drivers on Steam, so I might try and see if I can get in touch with them and then find out what's happened.
Yeah, do some digging, see what we can find out. Just over an hour and 45 of this race done. 76 laps complete. So they are thundering on through these laps. We are going to be well into the multiple hundreds by the end of the 8 hours here. And at the moment, Parak, in that number 8 Porsche, doing a really stellar job of staying way out in front, dealing with the traffic nicely, just doing a real nice job, it would seem, these guys. There's a little battle going on behind him. Oh, no, 303 just reappeared for me and then disappeared again on turn...
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see it as well? That was weird. So that it reappeared for a moment and then disappeared. So hopefully they have actually, if it's an issue with connection, if they have actually fully disconnected as opposed to running some really obscure amounts of ping and they're bouncing around all over the place possibly. I don't know, but I can't get them off my timing screen. So real massive shame for those guys, unless that was kind of the game, just having a random old asset it suddenly decided to show, I'm not sure. But there is a little battle going on here, and I don't know if it's back markers or not. It's one of the Audis. That is, what number are you, Mr. Audi? Are you number 115? Let's have a look. Let's have a little look through the numbers and see if we can spot you.
It is one more. Is it the 115 and the 920?
It is. Yeah, 115 and 920. Didn't realise those guys were battling for position, but they are. So it is 17th place overall they are battling for here. Oh, as a quick one, where did car 58 end up? Oh, I've just seen it down in 27th place. I've just noticed at the bottom of the timing screen, 27th place for those guys now, and that is devastating for them. I say through no fault of their own. That's a kicker.
Dealt with a heavy amount of cosmetic damage as well.
Yeah, things like that as well can just ruin your mood, can't they? I mean, it's no surprise that Matt York is out of the car, even if they originally intended on keeping him in the car for another, for a bit longer, for another stint. That's the kind of incident that can just, sour your mood, and you sometimes, if you have the opportunity, step away from the car for a minute, just have a breather. It can make a big difference. I say these guys are very clean and professional racers, but sometimes the old red mist can descend and you get back out there and you're so annoyed that your race just keeps going wrong and wrong and wrong. I'm having a little look to see if there is anything come through about that incident yet. I don't think so. That'll probably be in the next wave of incident reports and penalties that come in. But there's some more there. Car number 115, yeah, has got a 15-second penalty. I think that's from multiple incidents. Yeah, that's between himself and car number 117. And I thought I read something else. Maybe I'm blind. I'm being blind. Don't worry. But they got 15-second penalties in total at the moment. And car number 117 as well. Had a couple of squabbles. Sorry, car 177. Involved in an incident, but not penalised. And am I being really blind on this one? They picked up a. No, they haven't been penalised. I do apologise. I was getting my 1s and 7s very confused then, so I will shut up and stop trying to read bits and pieces.
I think it's 760s had 5 seconds added to it. The 199 has had 10 seconds. The 115 has had an extra 5 seconds, so they're now up to 20.
That's where I've got myself confused, because it was the penalties hadn't appeared in game yet. That's where I got myself confused.
Yeah, I think they just appeared as we were trying to work things out there. The number 1 car, the McLarens, had a 15-second penalty, and the number 304 has also had a penalty as well. So that 304, quite a long way up the order in 9th place, the highest car to have any penalties at the moment in 15th. So whether that is going to affect them later on, they do seem to have a large gap over the 117, so it shouldn't really cause too many problems for them in the race. Just might drop them with a run-in for some of the higher places. I imagine we'll be hearing soon about the penalty for the car number 28, and I imagine it will be quite a sizable one. I mean, they too, obviously, that's them big style as well. They are only 35th place, and with the number 16 not too far behind them either. So all the way down the field, we're getting some brilliant action. Most of man who's not been involved in any action, I don't think cares too much, is Josh Parek with now it's going to be about 50-second lead in this race. After nearly 2 hours of racing, yes, there's been misfortune for some of the others, but you extrapolate this pace over the entire race, you could see this Porsche finishing 2-3 laps ahead of the field.
Yeah, it is insane, and you think he's that far ahead of just second place. That time is just the gap between second place and first place. So, and then you look at then how the time works out. Then you've got, granted, possible move here into turn 1. We've got 720 all over the back of Dubel. Actually, through that first slight left-hander just after the, basically turn 1. They were having a little bit of a look there and a weave, and I think they were trying to get past, but just couldn't quite squeeze through. So they went left and had to go right, and they didn't quite get in. But he is on the attack. So that is Povolatis versus Dubel, and I would say he looked fairly aggressive with his weaving behind. So he's obviously very desperate to get past. He obviously had a better run off the final turn, and is wanting to make the move now.
I wonder if the 720 is going to try and stretch longer on this stint, just because we saw how badly things worked for them on the previous one, as that's not an ideal line. They're coming up the hill, coming through what is, I believe, turn number 6 on this circuit. Definitely not what you'd want to be doing through there, but yeah. Povolatis, earlier on we saw when the 720 came into the pits, they lost a lot of time. They got stuck in all sorts of traffic. Well, they just think, maybe is it worth going a bit longer, coming in a lap after the 500 and seeing if we can get ourselves into what would be a provisional podium slot. I'm just going to try and see if I can do some very quick maths to work out what the championship situation will look like at the moment. They're 37 points off of the championship lead at the moment. If they get into third, they'll be getting 38 points. Fox only getting 2 as things stand. So they're not too far away from possibly taking a victory in this championship if they can get themselves onto the podium and the 869 doesn't score any points. I know it's early to be talking about that with 6 hours of racing still to be remaining, but I think as we've seen earlier on, as one of the Bentleys goes for a drift in the background, it's flying by.
Yeah, I think it's 2 hours nearly done now. I'll tell you what, Polar is really struggling to get past this back rock of the Porsche. There we go, just managed to go down the inside there. It doesn't feel like it's been 2 hours, does it, yet? I mean, it probably will in a minute. It will suddenly hit me like a ton of bricks. But I think the Jaffa Cakes have kept me going quite nicely so far. Other delicious cakey beverages, snacks are available.
I'm glad you said they were a cake as well.
Well, yeah, they are, aren't they? They've got to be. If it was a biscuit, it would go soft if you left it out. But a Jaffa Cake goes hard as if you left a cake out. That's my logic, and I know there is surely someone who's going to say, "Oh no, that's not how it works." But I don't care. I have a public voice right now, and I'm using it to say that Jaffa Cakes are cakes.
The exact same logic I use, which I'd be worried if you're on the same wavelength as me. To be perfectly honest, that's probably a bit of a bad sign for you. But Yeah, one of the Forza Italia cars, obviously the 500, we've been speaking about quite a lot, having a defensive job. Right at the start of this race, the 501 was right with his teammate and has dropped back. But now Pavel Zhabobowski, all over the back of Jean Pawale as well. So one's attacking and one defending for the Forza Italia.ple Racing. Probably not too far away from us seeing drivers coming for their second pit stops as well. So that's where the order will mix up and we'll have to wait and see how things go. But Zhabobowski now all over the back of Pawale. Can he make this move work and get themselves up? They look close, obviously, coming through the final corner, being one of the slowest parts of the track, and then everything sort of just spreads out on the run through turn 1 into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Amongst the leaders, we've seen some pretty good clean patience and clean battling as well. How patient they'll be as the clock starts ticking down and as the sun starts to drop, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. People tired, people just making mistakes that way, people getting a bit frustrated if they've been, having the same battle over and over and they get fed up of getting stuck behind the same car, especially if they know they are quicker. That's going to be something to look out for later in the race. You see it in real life racing as well. People just desperate to get past. It has to be said, there's no money on the line here. This is all just, pride. So these guys are doing 8 hours of racing, just basically just to win, just so they can say, we did it, and put their thumbs up, and the team can sort of celebrate themselves. But there's no, there's no huge prize. It is simply down to the love of racing. But still, people get really invested in it, and it's good to see. It's good to see people passionate about, even if it is esports, because let's be honest, over the last sort of 2 to 3 years, esports have really saved quite a few people's sanity. I mean, that's how I got into it. I was sat at home a lot more, not being able to go out and do bits and pieces, and I thought, I've always wanted a wheel, let's give it a go, and that was on Xbox. And then, within a year later, I had a PC and I was doing commentary and everything. So it's crazy how things can sort of come around quite quickly. But these guys, they do take it very, very seriously, and it's nice to see such dedication to esports.
Yeah, I think it's that as well. There's something for every level, even if you've got these drivers right at the top. I mean, I've seen leagues sometimes with 14, 15 tiers on one platform. There's something for everyone, and you will find someone in and around your level. That's why we've got 2 different tiers, and that's why we've got the platinum and silver classes across those tiers as well, to make sure that even if you can't fight with those right at the front, there is definitely someone who will be in and around your pace range. And talking about right at the front, certainly of his class, the number 10 car, the Lexus, currently being driven by Cristalatis, has come into the pit, so he'll be dropping down the order in silver. Really the first of the, I suppose you could argue, it was just outside the top 10, I suppose you could argue, definitely towards the front of the field. Really the first one we've seen towards the front, head into the pits.
Noticing how well Ludwig's has done. He was quite a lot further back earlier, I think, and he's put himself up into 3rd place in class. So that's second place in class now, obviously because of number 10's pit stop. So really good effort by him to keep pushing forward. Car number 501 of Yarabowski is not able to really take the fight any further to car number 22 of Papel. I said it 3 different ways, and I don't think any of them were right, so I do apologise. Povilas is still battling it out. Oh, he's very, very close coming out of the corkscrew. He might actually be able to make a move here. He's pretty much on the bumper. Could we see a dive into this final turn? Is he close enough? Both of them very cleanly out of there, though. Again, no. Is he going to try and get a run? Here we go. This is hotting up again. This is all hotting up again. We're gonna risk changing the cameras over the rear wing of Dubel now as they come down towards turn 2. And his rear view is absolutely full of McLaren. So coming down to turn 4, swings it in. Again, it looks like he's a little bit quicker here through sector 1. McLaren normally an absolute beast for acceleration off the corners, but it doesn't seem to be able to be a match for the Ferrari at the moment. When you stick with this view, you can get a really good idea of how close he gets. So you can look at the gap between the wing and the front end of the McLaren. And again, it stayed very, very equal, very small gap. Both of them thunder up towards the top of the hill now. that seems to be where the McLaren is strongest, on that slight uphill stretch. Both hard on the brakes now, coming down towards corkscrew. Again, super equal. But it looks like through sector 3 that McLaren is ever so slightly quicker, possibly. Oh, and the McLaren into the pits. There we go. He's finally decided, no, I give up. I'm just going to pit and see what he can do. Like we said, see maybe what he can do pit stop-wise. Just over 2 hours of the race completed now. So DeBell's going to have to pit at some point. Yaraboski into the pits as well. So the teammate, the Forza Italia teammate car, 501 into the pits. So when these pits are over, going to be interesting to see where car number 869 appears. And also where the... Am I being really blind, or have we possibly lost one of the cars? Have we lost one of the van wall cars?
I don't.
No, we haven't. No, sorry, that is my bad.
Issue, obviously, earlier on, but...
they are 25th and 26th, both those cars. 57 in 25th, and then the other one, 58 in 26th place. But for a moment I thought we completely lost them off the grid. I just didn't realise they were just off the bottom of my timing screen. So apologies about that. I was having a bit of a panic myself and looking around desperately trying to find them and was being very blind.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing the van wall cars that far down the timing sheet, so obviously still plenty of time for them to recover. Top 20 are going to get points here. Hamling had a bit of a moment coming out of the hairpin as well. So despite earlier on being all over the back of Dubiel, has really dropped back in that number 9 car, not been the recovery they would have wanted. Cooper though, carrying on sort of where you know what we saw earlier on from Szymanski. They're now in 13th place, doing a fantastic job and getting onto the back of that battle between that is LRV who is around, and there's another car in the ground.
Was that
number 1, I think, who's also around
though, or was that just a... Yes, he went into the side of that McLaren. He dived up the inside of the McLaren, the BMW 370, and he's absolutely lost loads of spaces. Only just getting back onto the track, and he's now in amongst it with car number 869. And there's contact, I think. Oh God. He's desperate to get back on track. He's lost a lot of positions, but it's stung him in the tail.
Was second in class as well before the pit stops. Was leading in class at that time. Like, yeah, disastrous for Robert Alavi and the Crow Racing team. Very nice, I've got to say. Very simple, with the black and yellow certainly working well. That's big costly for them. Lost themselves plenty of time, and that's what Mudfigs into 11th place overall, and now provisionally leading the silver class before we see drivers coming into the pits. We're starting to see some leaders coming in as well. 101 versus 101 and the 500 on their way into the pits as well. Ratchak just getting the start car stopped. Dubiel will be in as well. So
it's going to be a case of seeing where that 500 car comes out in comparison to Caracas, who's now running in 6th place. So let's jump on board with Caracas. He is still a fair old way out the way.
He's in a lot more clear air this time.
He is. There's nothing slowing him down. He is absolutely giving it great guns. So let's wait and see what happens here. Coming down through the corkscrew. He's going to know these laps need to be quick. He needs to have as much pace as possible if he's going to make this cutback work. Sorry, is it overcut or undercut? I always forget when you pit first.
Undercut if you pit first, overcut if you go longer.
See, there we go. See, I just need to retire at this point, don't I? Give it up. Dubel's still in his pit box. We'll change driver over to Sokola now. And yeah, there we go. Place taken by Caracas. And by quite some margin as well. Well, not Caracas. Sorry, I keep saying, it is Caracas, isn't it? It's back in the car, not Pogolatus. Sorry. So yeah.
I've just had some news actually on the 303. It was a PC crash.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a massive shame. Maybe that explains the obscure noise we heard then. I don't know whether that was maybe something that came through just on the server when the PC crashed. I'm not sure. I mean, it was such an odd noise. It was... If anyone's ever watched any of the newer Star Wars films, the bit where they use the big ship at light speed Not Lightspeed. Oh my god, I'm absolutely ruining it. They crash a ship into another ship really fast, and then it goes silent afterwards, and then it takes a little while for everything to come back. It was like that. It was very strange.
Yeah, it's just, as we were saying, it's one of those things that can happen. It's the pitfalls of esports. You can have these disconnections, you can have these issues with the game that can just cause yourself problems, and just a shame for the 303. We're putting in a brilliant job, the Future Esports, the Hungarian squad doing a brilliant job, and all of a sudden through issues from their control, it's not working out. But I do know that in Europe today it has been incredibly hot. So these PCs, they run pretty damn warm in these hot conditions. Who knows? Maybe it's just maybe we could see a few others, never mind the drivers, having a few issues. Wouldn't surprise me if we get the other odd game crash. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. So I would love to obviously see everyone make their way towards the end.
Yeah, always a real shame when you see someone drop out for that kind of reason as well, isn't it? It's a real shame.
Just trying to see if there were any more penalties coming through, but we're still not hearing anything about the 28 and the 58. Certain that is going to end up with a penalty, as Nowicki has actually just made a move on Pal. They both, obviously Pal on a different pit strategy, so that is Nowicki back up provisionally into the top three. Will take second place off Hamlin when that car comes into the pits, and Pamek just still going around. They seem to have the ideal combination of the moment of pace and being able to keep their tyres and keep enough fuel in the car to just stretch these stints out longer. So it's looking very good for them. We know a lot of things can go wrong. They've got a lap on the field so far. That will change once they come into the pits. But they're just doing a supreme job. I think that is now the 22 car of Jean Barlet that does make his way into the pits for the Revolution Sim Racing team. Should come out just outside of the top 10. And I've just seen the 303 car. That is just, parked in the pits, not going anywhere.
Oh, so the 303 car is back, but not able to do anything at the moment. Yeah, they lost out on pit lap 73, and there's 86 laps. Oh no, wait, no, that's the people in front of him. The leader's done 91. Yeah, so they are way back. Weirdly, seeing a thing. This person, what's gone on there? Is that a duplicate? Possibly a duplicate. Okay, something's gone on there. Car number 87, which I can't see on the thing. That went out after lap 19. Possibly. It's still showing up on my timing screen though for some obscure reason. But I imagine that's probably just the timing screen being a big wobbly one. We still haven't seen anything from race control about the last set of incidents, have we? Which is surprising. I thought that would have been in and done pretty quickly, unless they're kind of trying to discuss what size penalty it should be. Ludwig's our silver class leader into the pit, and actually the top 3 silver class cars all in the pits, with car number 115 with a 20-second penalty left to serve.
The overall leader in as well, just Pamek into the pits.
Okay.
Raymo Olcast now taking over that car for the Flying Estonians. Will obviously stay in the lead of the pits. Hamlin's coming for the Baboon Motorsports car. They're going to drop down the order into, I believe they'll be comfortably staying in 5th place at the moment, but not as high up as they would have wanted to be. Silver class leader is now Krista Sjogberg in the Celtic Romance car, and I think they might have a chance of actually, there is actually pole position. I believe they are just the leaders in that class, so doing a pretty good job at the moment. And it is now Thomas Siovorkas in the Beaver Grease Racing Extra Greasy car trying to regain the lead in silver class for that Lexus.
Yeah, he'll be pretty keen to try and get that car back up through the grid, won't he? Say it dropped off a little bit, so it'd be nice to see them back up near the top if they can do it. Battles are always good. I just noticed that the 869 car now running in 11th place, and I can't help but feel that he's probably going to get past a few of the guys in front of him reasonably easily. I don't want to say that, to be too horrible, but he's still well within that car's capabilities and the pace they're doing. Notice the Honda's still done the fastest lap of the race though.
Yeah, and I think that was what we saw early on, not too far long after they came out of the pits. I think Szymanski was obviously maybe driving with that bit of fury, but managing to channel it I should say. I think whatever's happening to the voices is starting to catch.
Sorry.
It's probably a good job I'm only doing half the race. But I think, yeah, Szymanski channeling that fury, just saying a brilliant lap earlier on of a 122.075. Compare that to the fastest lap we saw the leader do of Pavic, who's just coming to the pits, was a 122.3. So definitely a very good lap indeed. They're in 8th place. Won't be too far again, though, before they do come into the pits after nearly losing that lap earlier on. So I don't think it'll be too long before we do see Cooper make his way in towards the pit lane in that Honda car, just slightly out of kilter with what everyone else is doing on the stints. So whether they'd be able to stretch the stints out long enough to do one last pit stop, I'm not too sure. And there we go, as if by magic, Ryan Cooper does come into the pits. That is going to promote Damir Fock into the top 10 all of a sudden.
Car number 5. Which one is car number 5? And why? Again, am I being so blind? Oh, that's BMW of Phage. Phage, yeah, in 8th place. So that was not the car we saw having the incident earlier on, parked in the middle of the track, was it?
No, that was for 28.
Yes, it was. Okay, yeah, just because I'd seen a time penalty had come through, and I was like, oh my god, is that all that's the only penalty they're being given for possibly what happened there? But it's not. It's a different incident, so I apologise. I was just I was reading through. It still was involving the car 57. It was the 58. Yeah, it was the 58. So yeah, my apologies. That's me just being blind as always.
57 has managed to get a penalty though for something that I don't think we caught on the stream. They had an incident with the number 5 car, so they've picked up a 15-second time penalty. There was also something between the 871 and the 444, but that was ruled no further action. So yeah, definitely not being the race that Van Wall Sim Sports would have wanted. You could argue out of all those towards the top of the championship, it's only really the Beaver Grease Lithuania McLaren, the 720, that's had anything near a normal race. Up in 3rd position at the moment will not be enough to win the championship as things stand, because it looks as though everything is going beautifully well for Fock at the moment, but they're giving it their all.
Fock has done a massive amount of laps, hasn't he? He's done like what, 90% of this entire race. Who's replaced him? At one point there was someone else, wasn't there? Or is it still Fock?
It's still Fock. I think he's done the entire thing.
He has, hasn't he? So that's insane. But I mean, fair enough. Maybe he's doing all of his stint at the beginning. You know, because I think there's minimum driver times. All the drivers have to be in the car at some point.
It might not be too long. I've just been keeping an eye on social media in the background. Jordier has done his 4 hours in the Mount Panama.
Right. So he may be joining us in the next pit stops then. Possibly. So again, we could see what happens to that car's position on the track at that point. I don't imagine they'll lose many positions, shall we say? But again, like some of these lads he's up there with, these, yes, Jardier is, obviously is quite a big name in sim racing, but there's certainly lads out here that are equally quick, if not quicker. So none of these guys are going to roll over and just let him fly on past just because of who he is. They will battle to the last if they are allowed to. Which is nice, it's good. These guys are all kind of on a nice sort of level where no one's intimidated by names. It's just a case of, if I'm quicker, I'm going through, and if or if you're not quick enough, then you're not going to get the position. No one really, sort of bends the rules or takes the mickey.
There's respect with the big names. There's not fear. They're not afraid of going for it, but you're not going to do anything stupid, obviously, because it could ruin someone who you're not
going to ruin anyone's race.
Turn it into a career.
But you can certainly, you could certainly put a feather in your cap if you say, I managed to defend from such and such for for half a race. Like that's fair play. Or even if you're just battling with them and not necessarily gaining a position from them, it's still, if you can say I kept up with such and such, that's quite an achievement. Having a quick look at the chat, you've replied to something that I missed, asking about if there was any Nissans in this race. There is not any here in Tier 1. I think there might be one in the Tier 2 race, but not sure. No, but in this particular endurance series, no Nissans in the top tier. And another one I've just pointed out as well, Arcetuthis, who is one of our commentators, as we said earlier on, sadly had to not join us today, then he is just sending us some love and letting it, just saying sorry. But you don't have to say sorry, Ark. It's all good. We understand. As we said earlier, real life always comes before sim racing. It's never a problem.
Yeah, great to see Ark joining us there in the chat. 199 has been into the pit, so LukecEtheridge now down in towards 19th. Still amazing after that pit stop earlier on that they're well up there in the points, and some other cars who are trying to find their way back up. Lucas Road looking very racy now behind the back of Robin Moe. So that is 117 versus 57 for 14th position at the moment. Van Ward do have that 15-second penalty that they will more than likely serve at their next pit stop. Again, what we saw earlier with the McLaren and the Ferrari further up the field, though, Bentley and BMW are very similar cars.
They are, aren't they? I think the BMW is a little bit better on the brakes. It's a very, very dominant car on the brakes from what we've seen in previous races and in other places. I just noticed that BMW, I'm not sure what number it is, that's running behind the car, number 57, is carrying a bit of bonnet damage. A bit of a gap. But yeah, they're two very similar cars with front engines, both quite big cars, rear-wheel drive, obviously, as well, the entire grid is. Oh, and there's a move up the inside. The BMW taking full advantage of its good braking. And I wonder, to a certain extent, if maybe the 117 Bentley may have just thought it's not worth squabbling too hard here. I'll let this one go.
Yeah, running your own race, of course, just thinking. I think understanding that car would not be where it was if it hadn't had issues right at the start of this race. But again, both getting themselves up into 14th place after losing that lap earlier on is a supreme performance. I'm very delighted with how Conor Wright and Lucas Rowe and anyone else have had in the car have done throughout the race. They've done an absolutely smashing job and are reaping the rewards of that round about now. Just trying to see if there's any other battles happening. Since the pit stops, go up towards the leaders, Kurekas has been able to get away from Lucas Zolka, so 500 just dropping back a bit. That gap now around about 10 seconds, and he's now within 10 seconds of Nowicki in the 101 BMW, so might be one to watch out for, to see whether in a bit of free air, for the first time all race, even though he hasn't got a back marker ahead of him, whether the 720 can really start to stretch its legs and show what the McLaren is made of.
He's a very quick driver in that McLaren. Uses it in the Sprint Cup Series as well that we have here. It's 10 tiers in the Apex Online Racing Sprint Cup Series, which I think the new series is starting very, very soon, actually. Yeah, he's a very, very quick driver who really knows that McLaren really well. He's stuck with it for a long, long time now, actually. I think basically since the British GT update, I think he's been in that car. He really does know his way around that car very well. Oh, I just realised they got a new driver in the number 8 Porsche. So you've got Okas in there now, which you may have already said. I apologise if you have, but I just noticed myself.
Definitely doesn't look like he's got the pace of his teammate earlier on, but then again, who in the field has? With that 1 minute lead that they've nearly got at the moment, though, could maybe just afford to take it that tiny bit easier. Make sure you don't do anything silly as you are working your way through the back markers. But Okas put in a good job. I think this shows, though, just because they've been leading from the start, just because they've dominated, it's nowhere near over. This is endurance racing. We're only just over a quarter of the way through this race. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it feels like the race is done to a certain extent, and then you suddenly look at the clock and you're like, oh yeah, hang on, no, that's not the time of day, that's how long we've got left on this race. And that's mad. And I think it's going to be pretty dark by the end of this race as well. We've got another 5 hours and 40 minutes to go. It's about nearly 5:30 PM in game time. So yeah, it's going to be pretty late in the day by the time these guys have finished racing. It's going to be dark, not just in real life, but in obviously here in game. It's going to be a dark old time. And
it's not like you've really got any, just looking around the circuit, it's not like you've really got too many lights scattered around anywhere. It's you're relying completely on the headlights of the cars, and that's where you start seeing the issues with the back markers coming in. If they're not quite as sure how many cars are behind them. I know obviously you've got the spotter, which is invaluable for all these drivers. That's where you can start getting the problems, and the fatigue comes in as well, just starting to get that tiny bit tired. But still, again, doesn't seem to be a problem for Samir Falk. All over the back of Ilya Dunitsin, who again is doing a very solid job. Always seems to be there or thereabouts. Does the 920 car and does Dunitsin, doing a fantastic job, keeping Fuck behind them in 9th place. And not too far behind Julius Feig either, who's currently driving the number 5. You see, Feig's had a bit of an issue there, just trying to get back one of the back markers. So what was about a 2-second gap, you can see it on screen all of a sudden. It's barely any gap whatsoever. And Dunitsin just getting forced off the road there, and that allows Fogg to work his way through. So, just what we were saying, having little issues with the traffic can just cause you problems, and that is Samir Fogg now up into 9th place, and all over the back of Julius Feig for amazingly one of the top 8 after having an incident on lap number 1 and then quite a different pit strategy to everyone else. Yeah, this been very interesting at the moment, this race so far. You've got, I'll just run you through the order quickly. You've got the number 8 Porsche at the front of the field. Novicki now driving the 101 in 2nd. Krekas in 3rd place. Obviously with the performance of Fox, that still puts KW in behind position for the championship. 500 in 4th place. Alvarado in the number 9, back in that car after getting a 30-second penalty earlier on. They are now down in 5th. Pochnica in the 501 is 6th. Dyer in 7th. And then this is the battle on screen at the moment for 8th, 9th and 10th place. It is going to be, I'm sure, a fascinating final 5.5 hours to this race as the fatigue starts to get in, as the wear and tear, as the desperation starts to come in, as the drivers start thinking about the big moves that they need to make towards the end of this race. We still haven't heard anything about that penalty earlier on with the 28 and the 58, which I'm 99% certain would have been reported to the stewards. There was an appeal for the 199 and the 177, which led to the 199 getting a penalty earlier on, and that has been completely thrown out by the stewards, saying not really giving us any different evidence. And it's always very difficult in sim racing with all the views that the stewards do get available to really get any appeals done. VA still struggling to get past that back marker. BMW just up ahead of him, and now fucking Dunitsin also really starting to put the number 5 under some pressure. Stick on board there with Samir Fogg, just trying to look at the lines that they're taking relative to the cars in front, and it looks like Fogg taking a bit more curve than the BMW and possibly sending one down the inside here. Very nice move indeed from Samir Fogg. Leaves just enough room to make this one work. They're going to be climbing up the hill together, but he's got enough of his car ahead, and that should be 8th place for the 869 car. Samir Fogg then up into 8th. We see Feig try to fight back in the number 5 BMW, but not able to do so on this occasion. The back of end Pomp car just having to stay in 9th place. Now Will Dunitsin nearly was able to follow through earlier, but we see the Armamentario skidding off racing car being able to follow through on this occasion. Does not look like he's been able to take advantage of that move, so that's fucking a bit of free air. Just trying to really use the last bits of those tyres, use the last bits of their fuel before they come in what I believe will be their 3rd pit stop of the race. Will it be when we see their first driver change? Will we see Malinovsky, or will we see Joliet get into the 869? Our championship leaders doing enough at the moment with 5 hours 35 minutes remaining.
I do apologise, I muted my mic, so I was talking to you and then it wasn't coming through, and then suddenly realised, oh, I've accidentally muted my mic, so apologies about that. I wasn't just ignoring you, I hadn't run away. I just suddenly realised I'd muted my mic, so apologies. But yeah, that battle going on, and immediately you just see the pace difference between the those 2 BMWs and that Ferrari of Fock. How quickly, now he's passed them, he's already opening up that gap, isn't he? He's already pulling away with, what, 1.1 seconds already? So, really showing just how quick those guys are. And it's truly terrifying, if I'm brutally honest, how quick they are.
I've just noticed the number 9 car's made a mistake on the previous lap and has now dropped outside of the top 5.
It has. It's down into 6th place. How I didn't see that. What caused that at all? 9.
Looks like something in just trying to see the sector times. Maybe on the entrance to the corkscrew, some sort of issue.
Okay. Something's happened. I mean, it's a very, very easy place to make a mistake or get caught up in someone else's mistake, isn't it? I'm surprised that Victoria's Secret BMW didn't yield to him then. It's not a battle for position, it is a back marker. On car number 22 on the attack now, Dyer, right on the back of this, of the back of the Honda. If it can get through as well here, which is trying to squeeze around the other BMW, that's the back marker, they both go through absolutely neck and neck. Oh, but that BMW coming back. What number is that Victoria's Secret car? I'm surprised it went back up the inside. I thought it would have let off the throttle and let that car go through, but it didn't, and that has meant that Dyer has now absolutely dropped back, massively lost pace.
Yeah, and the 55 it was, all of a sudden has now decided to back off on the way into the corkscrew. So, yeah, not quite sure. Definitely didn't gain anything from that. The only person who got away, that was the Honda of Nicholas Alvarado. But yeah, not the best etiquette, I think it's fair to say there, from the Victoria's Secret car.
Possibly not, no. I mean, I know it did appear that the Honda was behind him for a little while, so maybe he thought, oh, well, it's only fair that I keep the other one behind me as well a little bit. But I mean, that's not a decision for him to make. But again, it might have been something completely sort of, you know, unconspicuous, and it was just a case of didn't realise he was under 2 sets of blue flags. Maybe didn't realise that BMW was also in the battle. But let's see if Dyer can regain all that space and time, and see if he can get back on the back of number 9, the Honda. At the moment, the Honda having a bit of a sigh of relief and going, oh, thank God I got some clean air to just put some time in. Have a little look now, who have we got? So, if we go to position 12, which is car number 10, the lovely little Lexus. Currently being chased down by the number 57 car of Road. This is a battle for position overall, but not a battle for class position. But he is probably not going to want to give up that gap too easily, as it's a nice little buffer having that number 57 car there, as number 77 of Jorgurch is not able to attack the back of him at the moment. A little way back, 2.6 seconds, but still, with 5.5 hours left of the race, that's still a massive amount of time left.
Number 10's actually managed to work their way back into the lead then of Silver Class. Did just lose out, I think, to Yogurt in the 77 earlier on. But we saw when his teammate was in the car, when Kt1 was in this car, the number 10 car, was able to keep Samir Fogg behind him for a long, long time. So we know there's inherent pace in that Lexus, there's inherent pace in this team. So whether Sivokas will prove to be similarly a frustration for Yogurt at the moment, we'll wait and see. But doing a great job leading the Silver Glass once again this car. And if we see if I can quickly get up the standings to see how this team are doing in the championship at the moment. The Lexus in Tier 1 Silver Class, not as high up as their pace might expect to be. 7th place at the moment in that championship. 14th in Silverstone, really costing them. They've been top 5 in Silver Class in each of the last couple of races. Judging by the pace so far, they've definitely got the pace to get a podium, possibly a win in this. But just because you've got the pace does not mean that things are going to work out that way, shall we say. But at the moment, dealing with Lucas Road very well indeed.
Oh God, I couldn't speak until then. It just totally broke, didn't it? Right, the penalties have come through for that 58-28 incident. So looking at it, car number 28 is getting a 25-second penalty for an unsafe rejoin, but car number 58 is getting a warning for failing to slow down under yellow flags and possibly going for an overtake under yellow flags. So I think the penalty would have maybe been a lot harder, but I suppose yellow flags were out. So, you know, I imagine, you know, both parties a little bit stung by that. But I think overall, yeah, I suppose, you know, going for an overtake under yellow flags is a no-no, and you know, possibly could have slowed down and been able to go a bit more evasive. But car number 28 coming away with a 25-second penalty, and the car number 58 coming away with a warning for that one. Oh, also 2 license points for car number 28 for that incident as well. So a fairly strict penalty put on them, but I think that could have been worse for both parties.
Yeah, you do see this in sim racing, and I'm going to be honest, I'm guilty of it at the time, because there's no life danger to you when you see a yellow flag. It's very tempting to just go flat out and never quite know what's around the corner. But if there was a car parked in the middle of the track, you're going to have quite a major accident. If there'd have been a yellow flag there, and you're going to see the 28 car not move, so I've just seen a Ferrari have an issue, and I think that is actually one of the ones that is up towards the top of the order. That is LukecEtheridge has gone off on the one towards the corkscrew. Looks as though just lost it coming up round that fast left-hander.
He's already carrying damage as well. Just on the replay, he's already carrying damage back at turn 6. So I wonder if he's gone off there simply because the car just didn't turn. The car just didn't turn as he went to turn in there. And then it's actually just completely lost traction and collided with the wall again as he's trying to just carry along the gravel slowly. So, yeah, that's a car number 500 just coming into the pits now. That's a real sting for them, so I don't actually know what caused that incident. But, yeah, that's a real shame.
Yeah, it is. We'll see how severe the damage is. Definitely not the biggest hit we've seen today, but can very easily lose a lap, and that would plummet them down the order, possibly. Just trying to see at the moment. If they did lose a lap from where they are at the moment in about 5th place, yeah, could easily drop possibly outside the top 10 here. So we could see Soka drop a long way down the field. Does promote his teammate up into 4th place. Does promote Alvarado in the number 9 Honda back up into the top 5 as well. Just, it shows the dangers of endurance racing. Everything was going smoothly. Clearly made a mistake that we didn't catch on stream there. That caused enough damage to the car to put them in big trouble into the pits, and yeah, dropping a long way down the order outside of the top 10, but still a long way to go. Samir Fox is still driving around in 7th place. Similar to what we said earlier on, can't be too long before they're towards maximum stint time in that car, and we're going to have to see Fox coming into the pits.
Yeah, surely there's got to be a stop at some point, hasn't there? They've done an amazing effort to stay out as long as they have. Surely at some point. Battle for 15th place looks like it's pretty hot. Oh, that's the number 58 car, isn't it? Carrying loads of front end damage again.
I think that's still from earlier on.
Did they not repair that earlier? I would have thought they would have.
I imagine the amount of damage that this thing will just, to try and not drop down too many places in this tank. We'll just deal with the mechanical damage, the one that's going to really affect the performance.
Yeah, quite possibly.
See what we can do on the cosmetic later.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, they're currently running in, 14th place. So, I mean, all things considered, that could have been a lot worse for them. They're still well within the points, which is a bonus for them. And again, they're not really that far behind Road, are they? So that's not, for the size of the incident they had, that really could have been a lot worse. I'm trying to think. It looked like he was right in the middle of a battle, but apparently he's not.
Just some blue flags there, so it is a back marker. He's trying to get squeezed past the 180 car there of Theobald. He's down in 24th. Van der Belt managing to work that one. So yeah, in 14th place. They're still going to get some pretty decent points in this, and obviously with their teammates' penalty, are going to end up finishing ahead of Road, and that is a battle to maybe watch out for the one for the top 10 at the moment. 781 versus 10 versus 57, because Sivak, as we said earlier on, this Lexus is difficult to overtake. It's proved to be that. He's dragged himself and Lucas Road onto the back of Menno Cruzet, so it could be an interesting one here. 3 different cars. We'll see who comes out on top.
And looking over the rear wing now of that 781 Bentley, and yeah, you can see the Lexus thundering up behind him at full speed, and you can barely see the BMW around the outside of the Lexus. It's so close to the back of it. Just coming up towards the flying left-hander before corkscrew, and a charge up the hill. All 3 of these cars, you think, quite big, hefty cars, all big front-engine vehicles. Down through, all them through the corkscrew safely. Looks like the Lexus maybe had a slightly better exit. Just see them, just this train of cars. Just noticed that the 199 Honda still all the way down in 19th place. So their recovery not going as well as they'd hoped.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, definitely. It seemed to have been a lot higher than that early on. So whether Laguna Seca just finding it a bit tougher to work their way through the field. But yeah, surprising to see them so far down and Flock even without a pit stop, and obviously the two Vanderwall cars of Road and Vanderwell in 57 and 58. It is surprising to see that quite far down. It seems to be sector 3, obviously with the slow corners coming through the corkscrew, where everything really tightens up and then just all spreads out nice and easily again. So yeah, SIMSOK's doing a good job, but I'm not sure he's able to really go for a move. And also, there's no point going for a dive bomb when you've got another car right behind you, because we've seen a few times. You go to make that move, if you don't pull it off, you lose out places to all of the cars behind you. And you're just left kicking yourself that you didn't have that tiny bit extra patience to keep things in hand. But SIMSOK again getting really close to the back of the Bentley, under-braking for the corkscrew. It's not quite close enough, hitting the curb quite hard. I think Mode might be doing a sensible thing here, just leaving a tiny bit of a gap in case of his contact between the two of them, and knowing that you can sweep your way past.
Yeah, again, saying as we were earlier on, if you can just play the game a little bit, as it were, and you know, use your racecraft, not just pace, and that's something that comes up a lot of the time, that we see the difference between someone that is a fast driver and someone that is a fast race driver. Like, they have that racing craft, and it can be a case of you're not just trying to do hot laps, you're also trying to work out, you know, where is the guy in front fast, where is he slow, can I make a pass there, you know, because someone can be quite slow in sectors of the circuit, but if they put their car on the apex, you can't get past them. You you try and go around the outside, and then you're off the racing line for the next turn. Especially here in these sectors, you have quite a lot of, like, you have a left-hander, then a right-hander, then a left-hander, left-hander. So you're never going to think, oh well, I can go around the outside if I get an overlap on the inside for the next turn, because you know it just ends up being, oh, I'm on the outside for the next turn as well. And you can never get your braking done and swing around the outside. I mean, you see it sometimes, people being very, very brave at circuits like Spa, where you've got those long sweeping corners and you can try and run your way around the outside there. But here, someone like Laguna Seca, it's really, really tight. You just don't have the room to do it. You just cannot throw the car around.
Yeah, I wondered them.
I've just noticed car number 8. Sorry.
I was about to say, I wondered then for a second whether SIMSOK was going to throw it down the inside, but now he's got no need to, because Crossan has come into the pits.
No, handed the position over. And now it is a case of can Sikovas outrun the 57 car. I mean, realistically, he knows as well, unless that car gets 15 seconds in front of him, at the moment, he's not going to lose the position anyway. So sometimes you've got to look at it that way. He might be thinking, as long as I don't think he's going that much quicker, you know.
Yeah, as long as you don't let him gain a massive gap. And to be honest, he's having behind you for quite a few laps and he's doing a brilliant job. This might be the opportunity, though, for Vogue to get that position, because Rainbow Oakhouse, our race leader at the moment, is starting to come up ahead. Got a lead at the moment. Around the pit stops, we're talking it was around about 50 seconds. It is now 47.5, so Nowicki is gaining, but very slowly indeed. Just a bit deeper there into the chicane after the corkscrew. There we go there. SIMSOK just going a bit deeper, but managing to get away with it, as Samir Fock has finally come back into the pits again for the KW Clown Fiesta Esports team, so they're going to drop down the order. Lucas Saroncola in another Ferrari after his issue earlier on, kept in the car, dropped all the way down to 17th. That shows how close the field is. What looked like a minor incident, nearly 3 hours through the race, has cost him about 12 places.
Crazy, isn't it, when you think about what's seemed like quite a small thing, just how much time it can eat away at you. So it'll be interesting to see. There we go. The man, Jardier Honzik, is in the driver's seat, coming out in 13th place. This is now going to be a real case of keep an eye on that car and see what kind of work he can do. I mean, normally he is a very, very dominant force, but is he going to be a little bit worn out from possibly driving a totally different car on a totally different circuit? This is going to be him coming out, you know, yes, the car's been very quick, but it's going to be very, very alien to him.
Yeah, he's just got to try and get used to it, get into a rhythm. Ideally, you could do with not having a car right under the exhaust pipes of that Ferrari. But Brian Scheckerman, we saw the 95 and the 869 having that battle early on. Scheckerman is pretty close to him. It looks as though Yardier did just run a bit wide coming from turn number 3. Obviously, first corner in anger on that car. So this might be an opportunity for Scheckerman to get the move done. And as we've already seen, even if you are a bit slower than the car you're battling with on outright pace around here, if you're ahead,
Just caught that in the back of the screen. Sorry. That is the 666 running in 24th position, isn't it? That's the Warburton's Jägermeister car. So not at all what Scheckerman would have wanted. He would want to be able to take the fight forward straight away, and actually now, Honzik being able to warm those tyres up a little bit. He's having some time to get some temperature into the tyres. Car number 58 into the pit as well, and so is car number 77. So starting to see some slightly different timed pits now.
Yeah, this is where everything obviously diverges at this point in the race. You do similar things earlier on, a lap or two difference earlier on. You're talking 6 or 7 laps difference now, and if you're trying to decide, do you go aggressive, do you decide to go for that one more stint, be in a shorter pit lane around here if there's any circuit you can make it work, it is going to be this one, or do you just stretch things out that tiny bit longer if you've got a car and if you've got drivers that are conducive to just making those tyres last that tiny bit longer. Decisions probably being made on the fly and changing all the time. That has now promoted though Sivokas and Road into the top 10, and still that is the widest Lexus in Laguna Seca. It's the only one, but this might be an opportunity round the outside. That door is always going to close there on Lucas Road, but this is the closest he's been to the back of Sivokas, and I think this could be an opportunity for him to get that move done. He's got a back marker ahead of him. He is right under the rear wing of that Lexus. He's going to send one down the inside into the hairpin. He does indeed. Very nicely done there from Lucas Road. Gets himself up into 9th place.
That was an amazing move. That was really well done and really well executed. Just played the traffic nicely. You know, not only was he having to make a move on the Lexus, he then had to eye up where the McLaren was in front. Didn't want to get caught behind the McLaren. This might be one to watch though. We've got 3 back markers. Well, sorry, 3 cars coming past the back marker now. And not only is it these two battling it out, oh, what a slight mistake there, and he's left the inside open, and the Lexus goes back through. So there we go, as I was saying, the back marker's coming into play. You know, it came to his advantage through turn 2/3, but it's now stung him in the tail, and he's ended up further back again. He's lost his position.
That is so frustrating when that happens. You've done the hard work. You've got the move done. He's been stuck behind him for so long, and then finally got his opportunity. Finally managed to get himself ahead, and just not able to get it done cleanly past the back marker. And all of a sudden, Lucas Road is back in the same position that he was a lap ago, and definitely doesn't look closer. Well, it definitely doesn't look as close coming onto the pit straight as he was last time. It was quite a send on the previous lap. This would be unbelievably far back if he gets this done, and quite wisely decides to just stay behind, but losing a bit more time. We've seen his teammate come into the pits. The 58 car of Andy van der Velde has come into the pits, and they have now fixed quite a lot of that damage on the on that Van Wall SimSport car. So obviously, well, no apologies, they have not. It was just the camera angle tricking me quite a bit there. So still quite happy to run around with that bonnet flapping around. Clearly not proving to be too much of a distraction for these drivers, and clearly not thinking it is worth the time they would lose trying to get it fixed.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get away with running a little bit of damage, then fair enough. I think something that's going to come into play in a minute is Okas, who is carrying up behind these guys. I mean, he's not gaining on them particularly quickly, as the you know, these cars are no slouches. They are not going slowly, but it is going to probably be thinking, you know, in the back of Road's head. He's thinking, I need to get this done, otherwise I'm going to have to get, you know, there's going to be other blue flags, and I'm going to have to, you know, be careful what I do. He's not going to have so much freedom to throw something down the inside like he did into the, you know, into the hairpin. He's not going to be as free to do that if he's having to, you know, be aware that there's another faster car coming up behind him. He's close now, though. This could be a good run. If he can stay in the tow of that Lexus... I'm amazed how quick that Lexus is pulling away on the straights, though. I really thought the BMW would be pretty equal to it, but it's just not, is it? It's just not able to do it. Under brakes, the BMW could do it, but there's no way to pass in the turn.
It looks like you've almost got to be bump drafting the car in front to really be able to take advantage of the slipstream. Obviously, a lot less, aero on these cars, so dirty air isn't really in effect. The slipstream you would still expect to be quite powerful. This might be an opportunity, though. Never mind being a negative, getting lapped by the car in front. It could be an opportunity for Vogue to just follow Okas through and make his way back up towards 9th place when Sivokas has to let him through. And you can just see, just heading out with the slipstream here, just trying to distract the car in front. It has been, again, a very sensible job from the silver class leader at the moment. Sivokas and his teammate have not really put a foot wrong at the moment. They've got themselves almost on the... I think that
rotation.
Just as I was saying that,
the commentator's
curse.
Yeah. Oh dear, yeah. Commentator's curse. It's always the way, and he finally loses position. This is what we were saying earlier on about these front-engined cars. Sometimes as you go over that crest, the rear wheels just go a little bit light because you've got nothing keeping them down. It's a slow part of the circuit. The downforce isn't doing anything. You're 100% reliant on tyre and mechanical suspension, grip. And sometimes it just, just the G-force and the lack of, sort of gravity sticking you down at that point is what can just send you to over-rotate like that, especially trying to get on the throttle and defend a position. He was probably trying to get on the throttle as quickly as he possibly could. And as you can see, already after that little mistake, now Rode is really starting to make a gap for himself, already pulling away.
Yeah, he is already pulling away, and I think Rode's target might now be, can I avoid getting lapped by Okas? Can I just avoid having to slow that down up until we get towards the pit stop, and then we're not in too bad of a shape here. Obviously, with that 15-second time penalty, he's got 12 minutes to try to pull up a big enough gap over Sivokas, so that time penalty doesn't prove to be too costly. And also of the, I think it was the Bentley, not the Bentley's early on, that it was a bit further back, but that'd be Mulholland in the 781, so we've still got that to contend with as well after all the penalties work out. Just got to take the advantage of things where we come. We wouldn't have expected, after being stuck behind Sivokas for that long, for the move to have been that easy. In the end it was. But Sivokas just needs to keep his head down. Still leading in the silver class. Still with, I think, a fairly comfortable lead in silver class at the moment over the 969 car. They've 969's just coming through the corkscrew as the Lexus crosses the start-finish line to start his 119th lap of this race. So not in a bad situation. They'll be fairly happy with how things go.
Yeah, I think losing that position again, it wasn't for wasn't for position in class. It was just overall. So that is just a huge bonus anyway. Just and yeah, he does have he's not only has he got time between him and Schwabe in 13th place, he's dips his tire into the gravel there. He's also just got the buffer of 3 cars there. I mean, granted, they're all very quick cars. Okay, scrap that. It's no longer. Oh no, it's still like actual cars racing for position. He's got 3 cars between him and Schwabe, so that is a huge bonus. It's not just a case of if that car can make up the time, if it can lap a second a lap quicker. Technically, if you can lap a second a lap quicker, 15 laps time, you've made up 15 seconds. That's a huge thing. It's the traffic and the making the moves, and as we saw with Rode, it was much quicker. Evidently already pulled out 3-second lead now. He's pulling away by 3 seconds, but he was stuck behind him for ages, just not being able to get past.
Yeah, it definitely does. Not really having too many long braking zones makes it more difficult to overtake, and that seems to be the way. The BMW, we know, he's got on the brakes. We've seen Bo do it a couple of times now into the Andretti hairpin. Just got to take advantage of when things come, and now just use the pace he's got. Maybe been able to save a bit of the tyres being stuck behind the car in front. Going well for that BMW. One BMW it's not gone quite so well for, though, is Ilya Dunitsin. Just had a bit of a moment, I think, coming out of turn number 3 on that lap. Ended up in the middle of the track. Thankfully, was able to recover onto the track without causing too many issues. And I think only lost 1 place of all of that to Luke Haji. So Dunitsin still on for points at the moment. just in 16th overall, 14th in class. Another battle that has stuck up on us, I think, all of a sudden, is for... in fact, it's already happened.
Yeah, we've missed it. I was just about to say.
9 and 501, but Alvaro's already got the move done.
I'm going to take a risk and see how far we can go back. Right, I've gone back. This is a full minute rewind. And we'll see what's gone on here. So this is just them on the previous lap through the corkscrew. So at the moment, let's see where this move was made. This is penultimate turn. Both seem fairly planted there. So I mean, it must be in sector 1. Oh, looks like the Honda got a pretty good go through. Did that Ferrari sort of bog down a little bit coming out of the turn then? It looked almost like maybe it lost traction. And then, yeah, look at that. The Honda just absolutely walks on past it on the back straight. That Honda's top end is astounding. And there you go. Easily done, just because it had so much more sort of, you know, top end speed. That is ridiculous. I can't believe how easy the Honda just made that look. But we saw it earlier on when he was battling with the Porsches. He's got that top end when it comes to, you know, and that's, if you can out-drag someone on a straight, this is one of the easiest places to overtake.
Yeah, I think it was, again, I think the 501 might have gone just a tiny bit deep into the final corner and that affected it, but it looks like the Honda has got some very tasty straight line speed around this kit. And yeah, Alvarado now back up into 4th place. Koshika still in 5th, still got quite a bit of a gap to Dyer behind him, although Dyer, Feig, Road, Sivokas, Mo, Honzing are all going quicker than him at the moment. We're not too far away from the 3rd pit stops for all of these drivers. As you can see, the sky just getting a tiny bit darker. We're heading into that sort of beginning of dusk period, beginning of the twilight period here. Koshika, not too much to worry about. 5th place, good recovery, having had an issue earlier on to get themselves into the top 5. I think there'll be another team who's not got too much to complain about with how things are going at the moment. See how some of those further down the order that have had issues at the start of this race going. Vanderbilt going very quick at the moment, despite that damage, in 19th place, just trying to get onto the back of Mulholland in the Bentley. And also as well, 199 of Zeke up into 15th, still with that fastest lap of the race. Still, looks like despite the incredibly hot track conditions earlier on, maybe the tyres were just able to heat up superbly well for that first lap or two. We saw some brilliant times from them, but Zeke in 15th place, still recovering. I'd still say there's a big possibility that we could see Honzing in the 869 car in the top 10. I think we could see Zeke in the 199 in the top 10. Maybe even the Vanderbilt getting up there with the 58 van wall as well.
Quite possibly. It's really just a case of, again, of who can just sort of hold it all together, really, I guess. I mean, trying to have a little look now, who's around. Some people that have now also gone off of the standard strategy on the pits. We saw obviously the 869 car. That came in and pitted, and we knew that was off the sequence anyway after its incident. And obviously they decided, right, let's have a bit of a switch up. But then a couple of other cars have also done it since as well. So it gets harder and harder as the race goes on to sort of remember who pitted at what point and what position you're in. As I say, obviously Chardier could inherit a lot of positions when everyone else pits, and you'd think, oh great, he's well ahead of everyone, but then he'll have to pit quite soon, and it kind of throws everything around. So sometimes not quite so much of a sort of strategy games as you see in some things like Formula 1 in real life. There's a lot of pit strategy that comes into it, but there is certainly a lot going on where you need to think about. And speaking of pit stops, we've got a few people coming into the pits, I think, or at least one person. I just saw someone drive in, but there we go. Shackerman into the pits. That's car number 95. Was running in 14th place. And there's a BMW in as well. I think that is
180.
Yeah, that is number 180. They were running in 26th place. And the 303 still sat there in the pits as well.
Yeah, it's such a shame for the 303. I mean, the thing is now, even if they were able to get in the lobby 50 laps down, you're not gaining that no matter how good you are, even in a 24-hour race. We could soon see, though, the 869 managed to work their way back towards the top 10. Yadier Honzing all over the back of Robin Moe, almost pushing him through the penultimate corner. Is he going to pick out a move down the inside into the final corner? Indeed he does. There goes Honzik. Easy as you like. Gets the move done. Robin Moe's going to try and get the cutback and see if he can get a good run on down towards the first corner as they head onto their 124th lap of this race. That Bentley is looking pretty rapid in a straight line, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. That is Yardier up into the top 10. Next target for him will be the lead silver class car of Thomas Sivokas in 9th place. So we said it might take him a bit of time to get into things. Turns out we should not have doubted him. There's a reason why he's one of the top drivers, as one of the top streamers. He's incredibly quick. They're back into the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely amazing effort. I mean, seen it before with some other guys as well. I seem to remember there being, I think it was last season, somebody went off. I think it was opening lap, they had an incident. I want to say it might have been Black Goldsaw's team. I can't remember what the name of his team was at the time. But yeah, they went off on lap 1, all the way at the back. They were miles and miles down. I think they ended up in the top 5 by the end of the Kailami race. And I think that was 9 hours of Kailami. And just, you know, it was that thing of, will they get inside the top 20? Yes. Will they get inside the top 15? Yes. And I remember I then had to go off. I'd finished my commentary stint and I was, oh, yellow flag somewhere. Where's that? I realised I turned off my map so that I could didn't look as messy on screens at home. But
number 9.
That was the number 9, was it? Alvaro. He was off as well. Whereabouts was that to? Oh, he's got number 5 right on him now, is it? No, he doesn't. He's got a back marker, 101 going past him.
Yeah, 101 going past to put a lap on the number 9 car. Let's not forget, we've seen Alvaro get ahead of Prosnika. That who is now further, about 20 seconds up the road.
Hazard lights on that Honda. Hazard lights are on, so whether that's a mistake on thumb, he's just bumped something he shouldn't have. No, into the pits. So is that a case of maybe his tyres have just seen the last of it and he's decided, no, pits is my best strategy?
Really struggling to even get the car turned into the pits.
So I'm not sure what he hit or what caused it, but at some point something happened to upset that car quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to his positions. A couple of positions possibly able to gain for some other drivers. So Road will be hoping to gain a position here. He's just coming into the penultimate turn, and I would imagine he's going to be able to gain a position here. So Road, car number 57, still has our race leader, Okas, behind him. Road is outpacing our race leader. And yeah, it looks to be reasonably considerably as well.
I don't think it's Okas doing a slow job. I think it's just Road doing a fantastic job.
Yeah,
last lap around 3/10 of a second between the two.
Yeah, almost certainly. I think that's kind of what's going on there. Some more penalties rolling in now. So we've got 117 versus 304, 5-second penalty for car number 304 for dive bombing and causing an incident, and a license point. So car number 304 is, I'm really struggling whereabouts on this. Oh, that's down in 22nd place. And then the other one is car number 19 and 9, 10-second penalty. Oh, hang on, there's been a mistyping there. That's saying car number 19 and 9. 10-second penalty. So does that car number 199 and car 9? Because it then says car number 199 has the 10-second penalty and 1 license point. So presumably that might be a typo where it should be 199 versus 9, not 19 versus 9. There was lots of 1s and 9s and other variations then, so apologies if that made no sense to anyone when I was talking then, but I was doing my best to read.
As long as he's tried, I think, yeah, maybe the 199, not too... Just trying to see, actually, where the 199 and the 9, you know, are fairly close together, but we didn't see the 9 drop too far down the order in any of that, so... Yeah, maybe that was contact, although that incident was from quite a long time ago, so it is very possible that... I think we did see the number 9 have a bit of an issue earlier on. That could have been with contact with the 199, and let's not forget, right at the start of this race, it was the number 9 who just tapped the back of the 199 and sent them spinning around. So,
right.
It's, there had a bit of history, them two Hondas. I think the last time we saw anyone with 2 Honda engines crashing into each other so much was Senna and Prost back in the 80s. in Formula 1. Lucas Road into the pits though from what was a top 10 position from what was 7th place, and Hamling, after his pit stop, has now dropped down in towards 14th position, as 13th place, and actually just managed to overtake Schwab, the car now second in silver.
Oh, Caracas into the pits as well. So he's in. Someone who I don't feel like we've spoke that much about. Again, we were saying about these drivers that put in really good performances and we don't end up talking about them that much. Nowicki, Carnival 101. I don't really feel like we've watched that many battles, but he's in second place currently after Caracas went into the pit. That is astounding. So, I mean, he was in third place. And again, it's one of those cars you're like, oh, yay. They just slowly but surely just made their way up through the grid, made loads of progress. And it's great to see. It's really good to see. But yeah, just surprising how sometimes it catches you off guard. You're like, oh, hang on. They were miles back earlier. Or, you know, you just don't see them make the move. And so it's very easy to forget sometimes that, you know, these cars are doing what they're doing. It's insane.
I mean, I feel like that's what the 101 sort of just done all season. They've just been consistently quick. Top 10 in all the races so far. 5th in the championship. Might even, with the issues for the Van Wall team today, be able to sneak their way into the 3rd in championship and possibly be the lead BMW at the end of it. I know we had a fantastic battle earlier on with Caracas in the 720, and it is now actually Povolatis back in towards the 720 car. But since then, they've just done a very solid job. Obviously, misfortune, some of this 30-second penalty for the number 9 car, disconnect for the 303 car, has got them back into a second place. But they've got to be there to take advantage of that bad luck, and they certainly have been on this occasion.
Oh yeah, also noticed Carnival 501, the Forza Italia car, is up into 3rd place now. That 720 car coming out the pitch just behind it. So it'll be interesting to see, because the Forza Italia car I don't think has pitted yet. So that might be soon anyway, so it might be a position regained. Or has it pitted? I can't remember. Because they swapped places in the pits last time, didn't they? I think that was what happened, is Caracas was in the car at the time and he got past.
500 I think they swapped with.
Yes, it was. Oh, just noticed our silver class leader in the pits.
Yes, Sivakas now coming into the pits, whether we'll see him hand back over or whether he'll stay in for another double. Staying three and a bit hours through this race. We've got about another hour left on this stream before we'll be heading over to the second one. We'll make sure to put the link in the chat when that does happen. So Sivakas' pit stop done such a good job in this race. You know what? They might actually, I mean, they're just going to drop behind Daniel Schwab in the Harvey car for silver class lead, but nearly managed to get themselves a pit stop ahead. So very consistent and a very good job from the silver class car leaders at the moment, and it is now Sol Lamborghini who leads in that one. And again, Povolatis has again come out behind another car. We saw this happen earlier on, and it cost them a position. I think they were closing up to Nowicki earlier on. Any hopes they had of jumping that car might just be going out the window at this moment in time. But still doing a pretty good job, and obviously Prochnika trying to recover from that minor off right at the start of the race, recovering very well and on for at least a top 4 finish, and you never know, might still be able to dig themselves a podium. 5 hours remaining. There we go, Prochnika does dive it into the pits.
Yeah, there we go. So Povolatis will be happy that another position has opened up. So good news for him. Right, Luke, I need to disappear for 2 minutes. Nature is calling. So I shall leave you on with... Who's a decent battle to put us with? Everyone's a little bit spread out at the moment. Who would you like me to leave you on with?
Go with Chico and Sivakas, 16th and 17th. Looks pretty tasty.
16th and 17th. Is that right? Have I done that right? Yes, there you go. Right, I shall be back in 2 moments. I shall leave you with the beautiful tones of Luke while I am away.
Yeah, so Tim will be back very shortly. We've got the battle for 16th and 17th at the moment. Again, all mixed up because of the different drivers coming to the pit. Prochnika, we saw come into the pitch, now allows Jawabowski into that car, so they've dropped down towards 6th place. You can just about see that on the timing tower at the moment, but this is a good battle. Chico trying to get onto the back of SIMSOK, who, as we said, is just doing what he needs to do. That Lexus looking very good, as they have done all race long, sort of dove their way up to the front of Silver Class. Seems to have stayed there. Just look as though they are going to be looking, just qualifying down in 18th and 19th place. Another one who's taken advantage of bad misfortune for some of the other drivers and might even be able to get themselves an overall top 10 finish. We haven't talked too much about the Dread Moment racing car, the 169, sort of just being in the midfield, sort of just doing their own thing. No really major incidents. Marcel Chico driving in that one, with the other McLaren there just trying to get out of the way as much as possible. That has given actually Chico a bit of a run on the Lexus, and he might be able to get this done round the outside at turn number 9. That turns into the inside line for turn number 10, and there we go. Very, very smartly done there from Marcel Chico. All of a sudden, 169 car is up in towards 16th position. Will the Lexus of Thomas Sivakas be able to follow through, or will he have to just stay behind for now? Try and see if we can look up there. These two aren't racing for overall position. How the championships mainly get decided is on the class plays, but you'd imagine Sivakas, if he is quicker than Chico, so far this race is, oh, that's a BMW off. That's, I believe, that pink BMW we've seen a few times this race. I believe that might be the 444 car of Daniel Vanderlyn, who's just had a moment at turn number 2, so he is able to recover and get back onto track without too much damage done. I imagine Sivakas thinks that he is faster than Marcel Chico and would definitely like to have a go at getting the overtake, and they have got Lucas Road closing up to them, so that shows how good Lucas Road was in his pit stop period earlier on. Might have had a 15-second penalty, which has dropped him back behind Sivakas, but only 15 minutes before that pit stop he was behind him as well. This is closed right up, so 16th, 17th and 18th starting to look very tasty indeed. You can see there Chico has gone very deep into the entrance of the corkscrew, similar to what we saw happened to Sivakas on his previous lap, and this time it's Road who sneaks down the inside of the Lexus, who can't quite hold on. Very opportunistic, as we've seen all race long from the 57 car, just making the moves work when he's needed to. Well, Lucas Road now gets up into 17th. Next target for him will be Marcel Chico. There we go, there, just crossing the line. Seeing if we've had anyone, not really too many other drivers up the order. It looks like coming into the pits, Julius Feig has come in from what was, I believe, 5th place in the number 5 car, so he's now going to drop back behind Jabowski. He's going to probably drop behind Yardier Hosting as well, the 869 car. You can just see that changing on the timing screens there, and straight away, probably as we expected, Road was able to make short work. Marcel Chico got that move done on the one towards the first corner, so he is now up into 16th, got some clear air. Next target for him will be his teammate, and last lap around there was quite a pace advantage between Road and Van der Velde. They are on quite different strategies, so that's not too surprising. Can't see Andy providing to be too much of a challenge for Lucas, and in fact the reason why he was also having that bit of a pace advantage is he's been having his own battles with the silver class car. He's just worked his way past Daniel Schwabe, nearly a pit stop behind Schwabe on Sivakas at the moment. You've got Tranchek there as well. He's currently 3rd in the silver class, not really challenging. Road again just showing absolutely superb pace. They might not have had it in the qualifying, the Van Wall Sim Sport team, but you've got to think of what they've shown in the race. They could have been up there with Navicki as, oh, we have got a parked car just parked off the road there. That is the 177, who was there or thereabouts earlier on. They were roughly there or thereabouts was the 177 in silver class. So what on earth has happened to them?
Car number 177 is the black and red Bentley.
It's an Aston, I think.
Was it that one? Or I thought it was one of the what's it called cars? Oh goodness!
I may well have misread the number.
Yeah, I think it might have been car number 95.
Someone had an issue, but thankfully they've been able to continue. And I think the 500's gone off track again, actually. Further up the field. Sokola's driving very slowly, just off on the left-hand side on the way run up towards the corkscrew.
Yeah, just gone back. Oh, hit the inside curb. I think that might have also been some sort of connection issue for him, possibly. Hit the inside curb on that turn just before the uphill for the corkscrew. Sorry, the cameras are looking a little bit odd. He's really struggling to get himself back out of the gravel and get himself going there. I'm not sure what happened for him. But every other car on my screen looks lovely, and his was all kind of wobbly, so not sure whether maybe that might have been a connection issue that caused that for him. But he was all on his own when it happened.
Yeah, it's the second time we've seen him have an issue up there, actually. So whether it was a connection issue or just, you know, just tyres starting to wear out, we are heading towards that pit stop time. You know, did well, obviously, to just get himself well out of the way and not cause any problems. I think that's where we saw him running over the left-hand side of the track for so long. Didn't want to cause any problems. We've had pit stops for the lead cars as well. It is now Alexander Alikmex, the first time we've seen him in the number 8, and we've also got Wojciech Vacicek back in towards the 101 car. But in all of that pit stop period, I think the Mantas Pavlatis has been able to really close up to the back of the 101. He's about 2.6 seconds behind, so not really any battling potential at the moment. Maybe one to keep an eye on as this stint goes. But I've just noticed that Yardier's managed to get that car up into 6. Yes, they're doing something different. That Ferrari has got some supreme race pace there.
I don't know if it's the Ferrari or if it's the team. I think the team themselves, the guys that are in that car, they are very, very quick boys. Yeah, all of them are very, very fast. I think it might have been a case of this season they've all shown up, they're on the same team. It's kind of a case of maybe sort of putting some people in their place, kind of going, no, we are the fast boys. And fair enough to them, they've really put on a masterclass this season. But as we saw actually earlier on, like in the points wise, it's not that different. It's not, they haven't pulled away points wise massively. It's just on the track, they just always just seem to be ridiculously fast, don't they? Just insanely quick when it actually comes to being on the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 races I've commentated on before wasn't there for the first round of the season so, but they won there. Monza, they're doing a great job before they had some issues later on. Still got a top 5. They won at Belgium. You know, you win 2 races out of 4 in a 4-race series. You get a top 5 in another one, and possibly still an opportunity of getting a top 5 in this. You're going to win the championship more often than not. Let's be honest. And as we said, all of those cars that we've seen, Boothby we've seen in there, George Boothby on occasion. It has mainly been Honzik, Fock and Malinowski. They've done a supreme job, and they're proving that today in their hands. This Ferrari is a very, very tough car to beat. Just seeing if there has been anything else happening in race control. Not since we last checked, so nothing clean with race control as Dyer's now coming to the pits from what was 4th place. That might give Zalabowski a chance to get himself back up towards 4th, if we're being honest. Might just be able to jump ahead of the BMW.
Yeah,
whether we'll see Yardia in the top 5 as well.
Well, has Yarabowski, has he pitted yet, or is that one of the ones that hasn't pitted yet?
I think he has pitted.
Right, okay, well in that case, yeah, he's definitely got the position. He's just crossed the line, so that's him up to 4th. So Honzik's going to be in the top 5, I would presume.
Yep.
Yeah, easily into the top 5. So that kind of a 370 in the pit as well. That's down in 17th place, one of the BMWs.
Another one of the BMWs. The Van Wall cars are very close together. They've got a bit of traffic between them at the moment, but Lucas Road is just seems to have so much pace.
Oh,
like, I think.
Sorry, let's carry on. I say big slide from the car number 99 with Hamling behind the wheel, coming through that long left-hander after the corkscrew. Like, yeah, doing some proper opposite lock action, but managed to hold it together quite nicely.
Yeah, I think like Hamling's quite a few times he's had a few moments, but definitely done well to hold on to that one. Whether we'll see him be able to work his way past Donitz in this battle for 8th and 9th, I don't think. After the first laps of the race, definitely not where the number 9 car would have wanted to be. That is endurance racing. It can just bite you sometimes when we least expect it. Now we've got the 2 Van Wall cars together out there on track. Definitely got sort of a before and after advert for a body shop here. The number 58 looking very, very bad shape indeed. The 57 looking quite a lot nicer despite having its own incidents on that one.
Yeah, obviously decided they oh yeah, I see what you mean. It's 2 very, very different cars, isn't it? You sort of close one eye and it's nice, close the other eye and it looks terrible. I think we might see a position change between car number 9 and 920, so the battle for 8th place. That's Hamling versus Dunitston. So I'm going to jump back to them, as if Hamling can keep himself close through the end of this sector, he should have the pace to take the BMW on the straight, because we saw earlier on that car is ridiculously quick on the back straight. But I think actually the gap might have opened up just a little bit too much this lap round. It's opened up to about a second, so I don't think he's going to have the outright pace to be able to do it this time.
Yeah, it just seems to have dropped a bit further back on this occasion. We saw, there was a swap between the two BMWs for the Van Wall cars, but that was definitely very orchestrated.
That's fair enough. I wonder if to a certain extent the car number 58 with this damage is maybe just sort of nursing itself home and seeing what it can do. But again, it's still not even halfway through this race, so you'd think that they would fix everything they could to get as much pace out of the car. But I mean, if their lap times aren't decreased, then why spend 30 seconds in the pit having your damage fixed? You know, just keep going if you can do, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem to be distracting him too much at the moment. You know, maybe when it gets to night time, that might be one we see him getting it changed. As I believe Chinson might be on his way soon, so it might not be too long before we all swap it over to the part 2 stream. So hopefully, you guys won't be able to miss any of the action.
Oh, I do see him in the chat.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Chinson. Going to turn you up a little bit.
Oh, I'm a little bit low. Okay.
Oh no, it's my end. Don't worry.
I don't know. It could be me. I'm always like turning my mic up and down, left, right, this way, that way, frontwards, backwards.
That 100% it's me.
From a lot of that.
I haven't streamed in a little while, so it is.
Yeah, welcome back to the comment box, Tim.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. I do appreciate it.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. It's moved house. Well, first of all, it was rebuilt the PC. Then the internet at my old house died. Then it wasn't working, and we were about to move house, so I couldn't chase it too hard. Then moved house, and only just got the internet working here. So, been a little while. A quick answer to your question that I know you didn't ask verbally, but you messaged it. I'm just going to leave Pitlink running to the end of the race, mate. Don't worry.
Okay.
So
right,
you don't have to worry about it, because I'm just going to leave it running on my end.
That's perfect. It's just one of them things that I'm normally just like, well, yeah, okay, ready to go. But yeah, so I'm ready with the part 2 whenever you guys are ready, and it's already running.
Okie dokie. I mean, we were going to sort of go for the option of, I think we were going to aim for 6 o'clock was going to be the swap over at the halfway mark. I think that was what the plan was.
Yeah, I was doing a couple of things to be able to have finished them early, so I'll just get things.
Okie dokie. Well, do you want to join us for a little while? Because then at 6 o'clock, when we do the swap over, I need to run off for a little bit just so I can put my...
I think part 2's already live.
It is, yeah. I will leave it running anyway.
Oh, all right. Well, if you're already live, then I will. We'll stop what we're doing here.
I'm just busy pressing buttons.
Okay, yeah. If you're already live, we'll call it a day here, and I'll come and join you over there. I will obviously. So yeah, apologies about that. Didn't realise you'd already started it. Right. So that is going to be it from just me and Luke for this first half. Luke, I believe you're going to bid us farewell now. I'm like a madman going to stick it out.
I might as well stay for the next half hour. Might as well
Nice.
halfway point.
Happy days. Okay, so right, well, the stream's going to have to go down for just a moment, but the second stream is already up and running and ready to rock and roll.
And the link is in the chat.
And the link's in the chat, so fantastic. We're going to jump across to there. Do join us on the other stream, and we shall see you on the other side.
Okay, that's. I've been trying to find the one I've been looking at. Yeah, apologies about that. I was a little bit quick to hit the button, hit the buttons there. Oh.